Welcome to the session, everyone. Good morning again. My name is Nadzrin, and I will be your facilitator for this program. I would like, before we begin, to have everyone turn on their cameras for a bit of an activity. So I'll give you about a couple of minutes to get ready. You can keep sikat rambut ke, or you need to betul-betulkan tudung ke. So 2 minutes from now, please begin to turn on your cameras so that we can start with a bit of an activity. But before that, my name is Nadzrin once again, and this is a program. It's a one-day program from now until 5 o'clock, where I will share with you some tips and techniques of leadership. If you are in a leadership position, if you are managing a team already, then these are going to be very, very helpful for you to apply. How the day will be done is we'll be learning and we will be doing activities. You'll be working individually and in breakout rooms as well. So you will have access to the slides after the session. I'll email them to you, but I'll make sure that everyone who's here also gets those slides as well. But at the same time, most of the learning will be done here with you. And whatever you learn is exactly what you need to take home. It is not so much in the notes. This is not academic learning. This is more skills learning. So I want before 5 o'clock comes around, I want you to be able to take something home, something that you can actually use. You don't actually have to revise it, don't have to memorize it. So my job for the rest of the day is to be able to implant it into you as much as possible. All right. So 2 minutes are almost up. Let's see who has their cameras on. So please start turning your cameras. Thank you, Felinda. Felinda, you're in the office hari ni, unless there's a virtual background lah. You got Safia. Good morning, Safia. Let's see who else. I saw Boon. Boon disappeared. Oh, I see you there, Boon. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else will be joining us on camera? We have Shida. Good morning, Shida.
Morning.
Okay, semua orang dah back to work. Nobody is working from home. Okay, Umu has hers on. How about Shafika, Malina, Nur Azrul, Susanna, and Dr. Shiba? Are you going to join us for this activity this morning? Hello, Shafika.
Hi.
Okay, so those people who are not wearing masks, I assume you have your own room. Bestnya ada bilik sendiri. Everybody else yang ada mask tu, you are working with people out in the open. Okay, so it looks like that's all we're going to get. All right, so here's what we're going to do this morning. Let's warm up a little bit. I want everyone to show me your palms. All right, good. On your left hand, good morning, Ching. On your left hand, give me a 2 like this.
Morning.
On your right hand, give me a 4 like this. Okay, if you understood that, give me a nod. Why a nod? Non-verbal is faster than going to type into the chat. So when I say switch, what I want you to do is change this 2 into a 4 and change this 4 into a 2. If you understand, give me a nod again. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Listen and follow along. Ready? Switch. Okay, not bad, not bad. Ada yang ketawa seorang pun ada. Nasib baik microphone mute kan? All right, let's try one more time. Ready? Switch. Okay, Shida. Ini bukan best, All right, so 2 and 4. Ready? One more time. Switch. Okay, not bad. Since you guys are doing this very, very well, let's go to gear 2. What does gear 2 look like? It looks like this. Watch carefully. Switch, switch. That's gear 2. Shida, you okay? Shida dah give up terus. Okay, ready? Follow me. Switch, switch. Okay, cool, cool. Let's try one more time. Switch, switch. Okay, well done. Because you guys are doing so well, let's go to gear 3. Daripada first year masuk second year masuk third year lah kan. Lepas PMR lagi ke? Lepas PMR naik SPM lah kan. Okay, so we go to gear 3. What does gear 3 look like? It looks like this. Watch carefully. Switch, switch, switch. That's gear 3. Okay, ready? Here we go. Switch, switch, switch. Okay, let's try one more time. Switch, switch, switch. Not bad. For first timers, not bad. One more time. Switch, switch, switch. Okay, very cool. Since you guys are doing very well at gear 3, let's go to gear 4. What does gear 4 look like? It looks like this. Watch carefully. Switch, 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 switch. That's gear 4. All right, so let's challenge ourselves a little bit. Warm up our brains this morning. Ready? Here we go. Switch, 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 switch. All right, not bad. One more time. Switch, 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 switch. One more time. One last time. Ready? Switch, 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 switch. Awesome. Okay. How many gears are there in a car? There are 5 gears, not counting the reverse gear. So we're going to finish this off with gear 5. What does gear 5 look like? It looks like this. Switch, 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 switch. Okay, ready? Here we go. Switch, 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 switch. Not bad. Let's try one more time. Switch, 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 switch. Okay, one last time. Let's take this home. Ready? Gear 5. Switch, 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 switch. Okay, well done. Give yourselves a round of applause. Good, good. Okay, so now we did something fun. Now let's go into something serious. Okay, let's do something serious. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. And in my sessions, there's only 2 options. Volunteer or voluntold. All right, so you volunteer to answer the question, or I shall voluntold you to answer the question, which means everybody has to come up with an answer that will help everyone else learn. So here's the question. What has this activity that we just did, what has this activity got to do with the concept of leadership? I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to think about it. There is no wrong answer. There's only your opinions. Yeah, I'm going to remind you of this again and again today. There's no such thing as a wrong answer. There's only your opinions. And I want to know your opinions. So in your opinion, what has this activity that we just did have to do with leadership? Okay, so who would like to volunteer first before we voluntold you? 5, 4, 3, 2.
Maybe I can answer.
All right, Safia. Oh, okay. So this is interesting. Boon spoke up first, but Safia put her hand up first. So now I have to choose. I shall choose Safia first. All right. So the people who volunteer first, they are the least people with the least amount of stress. So if you've ever done presentations in class, you know what that feels like. Orang yang pertama dia paling kurang stress. The last person is like, matilah. So Safia, can you please share with us what's your opinion?
I think the activity is basically allows us as a leader. If we are a leader, we have to be adaptable with the changes really fast and identify if there's something wrong. So which means that the focus has to be there.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you're saying that as a leader, you must have good problem-solving skills. You must adapt fast to changes, and that also means you must be observant, right?
Yeah.
Yep. You must see what's happening and then make decisions fast. Okay. Thank you very much. So Boon volunteered for second. So what's your opinion? What did you notice?
Yeah, for me, I would think this is like the leaders giving the instructions, whether they are clearly given the clear instructions so that others can follow. And because some of them will do very fast and some will change very slow. So I think the leader has to take that into considerations.
Well done, well done. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. When you say that, I assume you were looking at what I was doing as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was I doing to be able to adapt to the people I'm giving instructions to? What did you notice?
You're asking me?
Yes, I'm asking. It's a follow-up question. I'm asking you. What did you notice me doing to adapt to the people I'm giving instructions to?
Okay, so this is based on trust. I would think the followers, they are trusting their leaders. So if they see how leaders do, so they will follow the step from the leaders now. So I'm not sure whether I answered the questions.
That's all right. That's right. It's your answer. It's my question, but that's your answer. So what you're saying is we need to be clear with what we are sharing with our people. Is that right?
Yeah, the instruction.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. If you noticed, this is for everyone. If everyone noticed, when I gave you the instruction for the first time, I confirmed with you whether you understood it. Did you notice? And it was very slow. I laid it out step by step by step by step. And I gave you the simplest task first, and then I ramped you up to the most difficult task. So the idea here is that there is a peribahasa in Malay that I love very, very much. And as educators, I believe educators will know of this peribahasa and love it as well. It's called Allah bisa tegal biasa. I love this. I learned this as a child, but as I grew up, when I got involved in learning and development at the corporate level, I discovered that Allah bisa tegal biasa is very, very useful. And I'm sure there are many other proverbs out there in other languages. I personally love this one. Why? Because Allah bisa tegal biasa means that there's a learning curve to everything. There is no such thing as saying, oh, I'm already old, I cannot learn this. You will find some people saying that. You will find some people say, oh, I'm not a very good student. But the idea is everybody learns differently. Everybody is different. Everybody grew up different. Everybody's brain structure is also different, which means that sometimes what we need to do is we need to understand our people before we give instructions to them. Yeah, we need to understand how they think, with what background they come from before we can actually give instructions to them. Malaysia is interesting, not that we interact only with different personality types within our people. We also interact with different cultural and religious types as well. So it's an amazing place to learn, to interact with a lot of different people. Thank you very much for that answer. So who would like to answer the question, third person now? What has this activity got to do with leadership, in your opinion? Yes, Malina.
Assalamualaikum and good morning.
Waalaikumsalam, good morning.
To me is how fast you take action. How fast, whenever you say that we absorb, then we think, and how fast you act on whenever problems coming, and how you solve it, solution. So you have to use your brain, both sides.
Right, that's definitely right. So I believe you're referring to the left and right hemisphere model. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yes, there is a model called the left and right hemisphere of the brain. And once upon a time, we thought that the left brain controls logic, the right brain controls creativity. But new neurological research has discovered that no, that's not 100% true. Both sides of the brain control both sides as well. Yeah, it works together to be able to solve problems. So
yes,
there is some truth to that they found, left brain a bit more logical, right brain a bit more creative, but it's not 100% accurate. What they've discovered is that the whole brain is actually what processes. We use all of it at the same time. But of course, the left hand is controlled by the right side, the right hemisphere. Right hand is controlled by the left hemisphere, and that much is true. That much is true. So when you need to warm up in the morning before you go to work, there are many tips I can give you. Some people will say coffee. Some people will dare say smoking. Other people will say exercise. Exercise in the morning, singing in the car, right? That loosens up your breathing. But I like to do hand gestures, hand exercises. And hand exercises I've been using for a very long time. They look silly. I'm telling you, they look silly, but they jumpstart your brain very early in the morning. If you study martial arts, okay, that's also good. You can do hand exercises. You can do anything that jumpstarts the brain. So exercise, very good. If you don't have time to exercise, you're sitting in the car, then the best you can do, stop at a traffic light, you do some hand exercises. So 2 and 4, okay, that's a simple one. We also have shoot the rabbit. Anybody seen this one? If you've gone for training enough time, some trainers will have given you shoot the rabbit.
Yeah.
Okay, you got shoot the rabbit.
So how fast you act on how you change, right?
Yes. So it's the ability to coordinate. I'm also practicing this new one. I don't know what it's called. It's thumb, okay, and pinky finger. Now this is a bit challenging. So what you have to do is you have to change thumb and pinky finger, thumb and pinky finger. Anybody want to try that out? Yeah, that's going to take some time.
In one of the training, yeah.
Okay, that can be challenging as well. But what it does is it gets your brain started. Thank you very much for that, Marina. Okay, one last person, please. What's your opinion about this activity? What's that got to do with leadership? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So volunteers done. We have to default to voluntold. Marina, please choose one person here to share their opinion. Okay. So what's happened, guys? Before she chooses, what happens? I've given you power. I've given you control, and now the control is no longer with you. Now it is Marina who's in control. She can choose who is going to share. Before this, you had control. I gave control to you, but you did not use that control. So now I've given it to someone else. So Marina, who will you choose?
Faiza Nazri.
Is that somebody you know?
I don't know.
No.
None of the participants I know.
Okay, that's even better, because then nobody can say, "Why you choose me because I'm your friend." So Faiza, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, do you know the question?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so what do you think?
My thoughts were along the lines of that left brain, right brain hemisphere thing, because I read recently also that apart from movements, the motorized control of our limbs, left and right, controlled by left or right brain. I also read recently that it may also make a difference which ear we talk to someone. Meaning, so if you want to give instructions or advice or counseling, so it matters which ear you tell them. So for example, if your right brain controls your emotion and artistic side, so when you counsel people, you talk to the left right ear, was it? And then
I also get confused.
Instructions and very like technical, maybe mathematical, very work-based thing that requires thinking. Maybe you have to use your right ear? Yeah, right ear. So I was thinking about that actually in terms of
thank you.
How a leader, maybe how you talk to your staff or your team. It may depend on which side of their body that you're sitting on that you talk to them. So
thank you very much.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, because what it means is that leaders need to constantly learn to improve themselves. So they need to be updated on what are the latest in leadership psychology, the latest in managing people and things like that. So all of us here knows that our parents probably did not learn psychology of parenting. And anybody who's a parent here will be able to agree that there is no handbook for parenting. We all make our mistakes. So I have 5 kids. I've made those mistakes all through all 5 children. I've learned from those mistakes. But then when we try to teach it to other parents, it doesn't seem to make sense for them. Why? Because their family is different. Because their children are different. So just as leaders, we can also learn the science behind it, but we also need to identify how are we going to apply it as a human being. Because you can learn all the theories, all the frameworks in the world, but if you cannot make it work for yourself, then there's no point. It becomes all just academic, right? So my job for you today is I want to help you to apply some of the things I want to share with you. And I've been teaching this since 2008, I believe. But of course, I've been keeping up with all of the updates. So what I'm sharing with you is quite latest as well. I do this in the corporate world. And because they don't have much time to learn a lot of theory, we jump a lot into practice. So today, because of the virtual session, we will not be able to practice as well as we do in a face-to-face session. However, here's my promise to you. Okay, I'm going to leave you my phone number and my email address. if you have questions on application, in the next 30 days, you can come back to me and ask Nadzrin, how do I do this? I learned it in your class, but I don't remember exactly specifically how to apply this. So you are welcome to come back to me in the next 30 days. Why 30 days? Why not 90 days? Because if I give you 90 days, then day number 89, I'll get a WhatsApp from everyone. So 30 days because I want you to fully apply. So that's why I'm giving you a time limit. But if it's 31 days, no problem lah, come lah. I will not say no. All right. So if everybody is ready to start, give me a ready in the chat and we will begin. All right. The good news is I will not need your cameras on for most of the day. Sometimes I'll ask for them to be turned on, but I want you to focus on the slides, not focus on me. Okay, it's less important to look at my face and more important for you to get the message. Whenever you have a question, just type it into the chat, and I will attend to it. If you feel that I need to know the answer now, then you just turn on your microphone and say, Nadzrin, I really need to ask this question. Go ahead. Right. So don't worry about interrupting me or causing me to stop or something like that. I will manage it. What's more important is you actually get something to take home today. All right. So welcome to the session. This is LEAP, Leading for Excellence, Action and Performance. The first topic of the day is what we call People Drive. And People Drive talks about how do we motivate people, right? So that being said, here's a question for you. Tell me in the chat, I'll give you 60 seconds. How would you motivate people? There's no right or wrong answer. It is all your own best practices. So how would you best motivate people? Whether it be people who work with you, maybe it be your students, if you're a lecturer, it is the people who are working under you. Okay, so I'll give you 3 minutes to answer this question. How would you motivate people? Here we go. Dr. Shiba says, setting a goal to achieve. Thank you. How about everyone else? We have 11 people in the room today. I can hear furious typing. Okay, Safia says, convince them that they can do it if they have the willpower. That's good. So for this, you would need influence and persuasion skills to be able to really convince them that. Okay, Ching says, be empathic and understand their pain. All right. That's scary. What pain are we talking about when they come to work? I believe what you mean is understand their emotions and whenever they are having difficulties. All right, let's hear from everyone else. Yes, their problems. Agreed. Marina says, understand them to start tackling their problems. So this means that you need to actually sit down and talk to them, and they must feel safe enough to share their problems with you. The environment that you have created in the workplace must be so safe that they're willing to come to you and say, boss, I have a problem with you. All right. Who else? Okay, Shafika says, listening to what they want to do. Okay. That gives us an indication of, they have their own plans for the work. Maybe what this means is they have their own ways of getting the work done, and they would like you to give them that flexibility. Okay, Boon says, encourage them to try and provide guidance. Boon, would you do me a favor? Could you turn on your microphone and share a little bit of detail? What do you mean by this?
Okay, so I think usually the staff or subordinates, they are shy, or sometimes they do not have any clue how to do it. So I think the leaders should encourage them, to motivate them to try, because most of the people, they were afraid to make a mistake or whatever, get scolded by the leaders or employer, so they don't dare to try. So I think as a leaders, you should try to motivate and encourage them to try, and then if they make some the small mistakes, so I think the leaders should guide them and then tell them what is the correct way to do it or something.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Okay, now that makes sense. Thank you very much. Faiza says, ask them to think about what they want in life and how they plan to achieve it. Okay, so Faisal, what you're referring to sounds a lot like coaching, and we're going to cover that a little bit later today as well. Susanna says, appreciate them. Yes, we reward them, we appreciate them, we say nice things to them. We don't purposely make life difficult for them. Belinda says, give them space to do things their own way. Let them be creative. Okay, Melina says, nice words. Yes. All right. So I can wrap this up already because it seems like everybody understands the concept. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a framework to think about it. Okay. So thank you for the answers. Let's continue and have me explain to you something called the candle problem, which was an experiment done in 1945 and repeated year after year to validate the experiment. It was done by a researcher named Carl Dunker. And Carl Dunker collected people into a room and he said, please solve this problem. The problem is, I want you to find a way to fix a candle to the wall, okay, and have it be lit up. So affix the candle to the wall and then light it up. Okay, so if I were to ask you, tell me in the chat, how would you solve this problem? Tell me in the chat, how would you solve this problem? If you have no idea, immediately have no idea, give me an X. If you have to think about it to crack your head, then give me your answer. But if you immediately have no idea, you just give me an X.
Mr. Nadzrin, can you give me the situation again, because I
okay.
Actually, yeah.
So can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. The situation is the Carl Dunker collected a few people into a room and he says, I want you to affix a candle to a wall using only what you have here on the table. Affix a candle to the wall and light it up. Have the candle lit up. Any ideas? Okay. I don't see any ideas, so you got X there. All right. So, yes.
Can I just try?
Can.
Sorry, what's in that box? I see matches, candle.
There's matches, a candle, and thumbtacks.
Thumbtacks, I see. I just thought that the normal way that I stick a candle anywhere is I light it up first and then I let some of the wax that's melted drop onto the surface that I want to stick it on, and then I quickly just stick the candle on the wet wax, and when it hardens it will stay. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you. Anyone else want to try? We got 2 X's. So Dr. Shiba, it's a box of thumbtacks, a candle, and matches. All right. I'm going to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So Carl Dunker wanted to understand motivation. He wanted to understand, how much could we motivate people to become problem solvers? So what he did was he got together a group of people, a control group, and the control group had to solve this problem. He collected another group of people in another room, gave them the same problem, but he said, you know what? If you solve this problem, we'll give you $100. We'll give you money. Now, group A is the control group. Group B is the group where, if you solve the problem, you get money. You get a reward. Can anybody guess which group, A or B, did better? Which group did better, A or B? Group A was the control group, did not get any money. Group B was the group that if they solved the problem, they got money. So Felinda says B. Good, thank you. B. Well done. Okay, so the actual output of the experiment surprised Carl Dunker because there was no significant difference between group A and group B. He could up the reward to $1,000. He could up the reward to as much as he wanted. The difference in performance was very similar. So Group A took the same amount of time to solve the problem as Group B, which showed that money makes no difference when you work with problem solving. So what he discovered was, if the effort that was needed was physical, right, the more you paid someone, the faster they worked. If the effort was, routine work, something that is calculation based, something that they have to put into a spreadsheet, something they have to get something done that was logical and something that was very easy to do, the more money you paid, the faster they became, the more work they did. But when it came to complex problem solving that required creativity, what he discovered was, when it comes to work that requires creativity, which is a lot of the kind of work we do nowadays, there was no correlation between how much money we threw at them and the performance that they had, which was weird. You would expect that the more money you threw at someone, the more motivated they are to work. Well, that's true. But where creativity is concerned, problem solving is concerned, the money was not a motivation. Money was not a motivation at all. In fact, it made things worse. People started feeling very, very pressured because now they had something to lose. They could lose the money if they don't solve the problem. So when taken to, when everything was leveled out and nobody got anything, both groups did the same. They solved the problems at about the same rate. So now this is not about the solution itself, but I'm going to show you what the groups eventually came up with. They came up with something like this. They tried to affix it to the wall, the candle to the wall, but the candle kept falling off, dropping off. So what they did was they eventually found that, hey, we can use the box. But Group A and Group B took the same amount of time. So what is the finding? The finding is that when left brain tasks or logical tasks are rewarded, performance rises. So what are left brain tasks? What that they've identified? Logical stuff, things that you can do, routine work, things that you can do in terms of, A causes B, causes C, causes D. You can see a clear cause and effect. But when the right brain tasks or the creative tasks are rewarded, then instead of going up, performance actually drops. It becomes worse. People become more demotivated. They become depressed. They become, very, very sad because there was money involved. So the relationship is this: the higher the rewards for right brain activities, the worse the performance. And this is where we find that white collar workers, not blue collar workers, not the people who pick up rubbish every day from your tong sampah, not the people who do carpentry work or the people who do electrical work that are very straightforward, very simple, but white collar work, like things we do, K workers, like knowledge workers, where they do less left brain work and more right brain work in terms of solving problems. Okay, so that means that in the future, from now onwards and in the future, more and more left brain work will be taken over by algorithms and robots and apps. In fact, it's already done. It's already done. There are lawyers who no longer can give consults because there's an app out there that can actually answer your questions, legal questions. There are things that can be taken over, but are things that cannot currently be taken over by artificial intelligence. And these are what they call the more creative work. So when we want to motivate people, it is found that, rewards don't actually help as much. So if that doesn't help, then what does help? What do we do? Well, I refer to this book called Drive by Daniel H. Pink. My first question to you is, how many people have read this book before? Give me a yes or no in the chat. How many people have read this book before? Give me a yes or no in the chat. Okay, so the basis of this morning's topic is this book itself. I highly recommend it if you want to buy it. I think Popular is having a sale right now. I think the Book Fest is still on or something. Or Book Access. Book Access, you can get it for cheap. So what does Daniel Pink say in his book? He says that when you take all of the factors of motivation into consideration, he comes up with 3 types. The first one is what we call mastery, and that there are people who are driven by the desire to become better at something. That's why he says, if you notice, there are some people who do very routine work at the office. When they go home, they play video games, or they play a guitar, or they go and ride motorcycles or something like that, because they cannot get that at work. Toll booth operators, you think about it, toll booth operators, can they actually become better at their work? Because all they do every day is just bagi duit, ambil duit, bagi change. That's all they do. So there's a human desire to want to become better at something. That's what drives people to go to work. That's why they wake up in the morning. So any job that allows them to learn and be challenged and just keep improving on a daily basis, this kind of person who has this desire will like it very much. Second is what he calls autonomy. And autonomy is the desire to make independent choices. They want to be independent. And I'm sure if you have children, you have seen this before with your kids. There will be moments where you want to put the clothing, you want to put the baju on your child says, no, mommy, I do myself. They will insist on doing it themselves. Why? Because they want that independence, they want that autonomy. Where do we see this in the workplace? Well, I'll give you some examples. If you go to, let's see, do we have an example? A good example. If you go to Tesco, but then Tesco now sudah tukar nama. If you go to Lotus, how many people, give me a yes or no in the chat, how many people have actually gone to the counter at Tesco, and as they're scanning, the cashier is scanning some items, you decide that you don't want one item, but she or he has already scanned it, and then you say, tak nak dah yang itu. So now they have to unscan. So how many people have done this before? Give me a yes or no in the chat. You go to the counter, he scans it, and then you say, I don't want that one. So how many people have done this before? Give me a yes or no. Boon says no. Okay. Polina says yes. Susanna says yes. Safia says yes. Dr. Shiba says no. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Sebelum scan adalah okay. So you're nice enough that jangan sudah scan. Polina says yes, but someone else says item. Okay. Felinda, turn on your microphone, please, and tell me what happens next when you say tak nak lah barang tu. What happens next?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
What happens next is the cashier look a bit annoyed, and then she just called the supervisor to just do whatever they need to do to the registry.
Oh wait,
cash.
The cashier calls the supervisor.
Yes, because
why doesn't the cashier remove the item from the list?
They need to remove. Since they need to remove the item, they need to call the supervisor to actually key in something.
So why does the supervisor have to do that?
Because they have the card, I think.
They have the card.
Override the.
So it means the power is with the supervisor, not with the cashier, yeah?
Yes. Okay,
good. Thank you very much. Now, let's leave Tesco, let's leave Lotus, and let's go to Aeon. In Aeon supermarket, if the cashier has already scanned an item, and then you say, I don't want that item, what does the cashier do? Anybody notice? I'll answer for you. In Aeon supermarket, what they do is, they don't call the supervisor, they cancel it themselves, they remove the items themselves. And why this difference? Well, the cashiers in Tesco are not empowered, they're not given the authority, they are not given the independence to be able to do that. Okay, there's a policy, there's a reason for that. In Aeon, they do empower their cashiers to be able to do that. So everybody has the ability to punch it out. So if you were working in Tesco compared to working in Aeon, you actually get less autonomy there. You actually get less independence. There are very strict policies and rules they have to follow. In Aeon supermarket, what they do is they give this autonomy to their staff because it's a lot easier, it's a lot faster. The process becomes faster. So yes, Marina says not all have the authority to cancel. So autonomy is talking to your staff, talking to your people, and then asking them, so if you are ready for responsibility, what responsibility are you ready for within this department or within this organization? Yeah, I can't make everything work, but is there something that you are interested to, be in charge of? So maybe it's because of company policies, you might not be able to give them that kind of authority, but maybe a project that you want them to work on. Maybe it is a side thing, that a side improvement that you want them to work on within that particular department. So autonomy here is, there are people out there who favor autonomy over mastery. For them, autonomy is more important than mastery. Okay, so the third one is what we call purpose. Now, purpose is the desire to have a noble cause. It is the reason why a lot of younger people, when they work, now they look for work, they're not looking for high salary only. They're looking for a good place to work. They're looking for a place that, contributes to the world. This is how a lot of younger people think. Now, this is interesting because if you look, there are companies out there who are now struggling to get staff. And one of them, again, this is not PNC, this is a case study in the industry. One company that's finding it difficult to get staff is BAT, British American Tobacco. And you know this company because it's just down the street from where University Malaya is. It's down the street, it's the Rothmans roundabout. I studied in UIA, so I was next to it, almost literally next to it. BAT is finding trouble. Their HR, their recruitment, finding it difficult to find people who want to join the company. Can anybody tell me why? Tell me in the chat, what's your opinion? Why do you think they're finding it difficult to find people who want to join the company? There's no wrong answers. Give me your opinion, just based on what I've told you. Safia says, purpose doesn't meet their passion. Okay. Safia, what do you mean? What purpose are you talking about?
Because BAT is a tobacco company that cigarettes.
It's rich. It's rich.
But some people may think that if they work there, the purpose is actually to help in contributing, making the cigarettes, which is actually will harm people out there.
Who cares? That's customer lah. They want to buy our products, they buy lah. What's that got to do with me as an employee?
I think with the knowledge that people have now, and the healthy lifestyle that has been, what do you call it? Is everywhere. People have talked about, how harmful and how cancer can actually come because of cigarettes and everything. So I think people start to think that this is something that is not healthy. And why would I want to work for a company that contributed to this this kind of thing? So the purpose would be, you want to have a job that is meaningful, meaning to say that you want something that contributed to the things that you believe in. So if the person does not believe in doing or contributing to harmful things or to harm other people, then they would not want to work for that. And I think BAT got this problem because I think now the knowledge is there. People are very aware about the dangers of smoking. So I think that's the reason why it's hard for them to recruit for the new people.
You got it perfectly on the nose. The younger people are smoking less and less. This is a global phenomenon all around the world. Younger people are smoking less. And when I was in university, I did a survey. I did a smoking survey. And I found, I distributed amongst my friends because my professor wanted me to do a study, a very short study about smoking. When I got the forms back, and these are all honest answers, and I calculated 75% of my male university mates smoke. 75%. Can you remember that number? Can you understand that number? 75%. So the idea is that that number has gradually been dropping. Yes, Faiza says it's young people vape also, but vape's not produced by BAT. So they believe that they found a way around it. But when they see BAT, they go, no, I don't want to work there because it doesn't match my purpose. And this is what a lot of employers have been doing to improve their employer branding. Not their branding to customers, right? But employer branding to make it an interesting place to work. One company, if anybody has gone to Batu Caves before, go pass by Gombak there, there's a company called Kianju Canning Factory. Kianju Canning Factory. Now, if you are a graduate, who would want to send their resume to Kianju Canning Factory? Anyone? Yeah, anybody who graduates from UIA, UM, UTP. Oh, I want to work company besar-besar lah. Company well-known lah. I balik kampung, I can tell my grandmother about the company lah. But, okay, what ends up happening is, then these companies don't get, the smaller companies or the so-called unbranded companies, they don't get good quality staff. So what some of these companies have been doing is they have been creating better employer branding, so that they can attract better staff. And one of the things that Kianju Canning Factory did was rebranded themselves. They are now KJCF, and how they tell their staff is, we are in charge of the safety of a lot of people in Malaysia, which is the cans we produce are actually go to other factories to be able to make to fill in, foods, drinks, stuff like that. If we make a mistake here, then we are damaging other people's other people's health. So we need to make our cans perfect in such a way that when people use our products, they are protected. That's one thing. Another one is they've also gone green, as much as green as possible. They also have a carbon footprint count now. So there are big companies who understand that the younger generations, they care about this, so much so that they are putting in place a lot of effort to make sure that they keep up with the younger generation's expectations. And this can include anything from environmentalism to gender sensitivity, diversity and inclusion. So there are companies now that on their email addresses, they're very sensitive to gender identity. So you have people introducing themselves as he, she, or she, she, her, and he, him, things like that. Not so much in Malaysia yet, but a lot more in the Western countries. So how they want to appeal to younger people who are very purpose-driven, very purpose-oriented. They don't need the money because their parents give them money, or they do side hustles. They can earn money. Nowadays, if you want to be rich, you just open up a YouTube account, okay, or you open up a TikTok account, you can make money already. Yeah. Now they are looking for jobs that give them meaning. So if you're working at University Malaya and you are purpose-oriented, then maybe you are there because you believe you're helping to educate the nation. If you're mastery-oriented, then you've joined UM because you want to grow there. You want to grow your skills. You want to grow your knowledge there. If you're autonomy-oriented and you join UM, then you probably like running short-term projects. You like doing things that give you authority. So these are what Daniel Pink talked about in his book called Mastery, Autonomy, and Purpose. I work for an American company, an international company called Accenture for 7 years. And in Accenture, we added on one more, and that's called stewardship. So we took what Daniel Pink talked about, but we added on one more because we felt there's something missing there. And this is what the company practices. Stewardship is a little bit of mastery, a little bit of autonomy, a little bit of purpose. But stewardship means that I work here because I want to leave a legacy for future employees, future stakeholders, future customers. So people like this, they love to, make improvements in the department, not for now, but for later. They love to build systems. They love to fix processes. They love to do things that make a difference, not now, but maybe 5-10 years in the future. So if you understood what I just explained to you on M, A, P, and S, give me a yes in the chat. If you have a question, please ask me now. So let's see. I look for 10 yeses or 9 yeses and 1 question? So let me repeat that again. If you understood what I just explained to you on this slide, give me a yes in the chat. Thank you, Faiza. Thank you, Felinda. Thank you, Malina. All right. Second question is this. Based on what I've described to you, please tell us in the chat, which of these 4 is closest to being your main motivation to come to work? Tell us in the chat, which of these 4 is the closest to your main motivation to come to work? Is it mastery, autonomy, purpose, or stewardship? As for me, I'll reveal mine right now. Mine is stewardship, right? Even though I'm a corporate trainer, I teach, but I love to be able to help build legacies, build people, be part of the process that helps them to advance their career. Okay, Sabrina says purpose and autonomy. Felinda says mastery. Okay. All right. So Safia and Boon has spoken up already. Felinda has also spoken up. Let me ask Dr. Shiba. Dr. Shiba says purpose and autonomy. If you were to choose between the two, which is the most dominant for you, Doctor? Purpose. Okay. So, Doctor, do us a favor. Could you turn on your microphone and share with us what does this mean to you, and how does it affect your work and how you work in your daily life? Dr. Shiba, are you there? If your microphone is on, I can't hear you. Are you in a loud place or something, or you're outside? Okay, no worries. So let's ask Ching. Ching says mastery and stewardship. Would you be able to share with us which of these two is more dominant, and share with us a story about how that affects you on a daily basis?
To me, I would choose mastery because because to me it's like every day is kind of like learning. So of course I would hope that in the I will hope that I can get the job satisfactions when I'm doing my daily jobs, and then I can like learn something new, and then I can improve better throughout the whole entire of my career life. So I would choose mastery.
Okay. So I'm going to make a bit of a prediction, and you tell me if I got it right or wrong. If you are given a routine job to do that maybe lasts for more than 6 months to a year, you would actually consider, asking for a different position or moving to a different company because of the routine work that you get. You just keep doing the same thing again and again and again, and you don't seem to be going anywhere. Does that describe you?
Yes, I cannot do a routine work. I definitely cannot.
So you find it easy to get bored with things that are similar every day?
Yes, kind of.
Okay, so that means that whoever your supervisor is, whoever your boss is, if they realize that mastery is your most important drive, then how they can motivate you is to give you such work. Maybe not all the time, because even in our daily work, we do have routine work. Yeah, but in order to keep you motivated, then I must give you, as your supervisor, as your superior, I must give you interesting work, things that challenge you, things that get you to learn new things. And that is how I keep you in the company. That's how I keep you on staff. Right? Would you agree? Would you agree?
Yes.
Would that work? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. But the moment I put you on a project that lasts 6 months, every day do the same thing, just repeat again, that's when you start preparing your resume.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Let's see who else is here who can help me out. Okay, so we got Actually, Malina, can I ask you for your story as well, because you said purpose, right? So would you be able to share with us what purpose, or is it purpose or autonomy, which is more important to you?
Okay, in my situation as a lecturer, educator, I would say is more to educator, means
Okay.
I have the purpose that I have to teach. I have the responsibility to conduct my teaching, to conduct my because I'm from dentistry, so it's clinical teaching. So I have to responsible for what I have on my duties, on my tasks to my students. So it's firstly it's the purpose, and then secondly is autonomy on how creative that I can handle my time. I can manage among all my students that among the undergraduates, postgraduates, and how do I handle them? Because clinical teaching is not easy. We have a very packed time, so I have to enjoy it. By the way, so I know that the purpose that what I need to do today, and I would have the schedule of what I need to do, what I need to
And
achieve on the
you
day.
set the schedule, right? You set the schedule.
Yeah. Because the schedule is for all lecturers.
Okay.
A little different because clinical teaching that, but I'm the one that I mean, my role is I'm doing all the schedule for all the lecturers.
Including yourself. Including yourself, yes?
Including myself, exactly. So
Okay.
so I need to know that who going to give the lecture today. So who's going to give undergraduate clinical supervision, supervisors, postgraduates. So we need I need to know that okay, we don't have many okay, actually now I'm on study leave. So
Okay.
before this, when I was we only have like 2 or 3 staff to cover our postgraduates and undergraduates from many batches. So we need it's tough for us because sometimes
I understand.
we have
I
to
understand.
handle many students.
Yeah.
So from the purpose will make me focus on what I'm going to do, and autonomy of please give me space on how I'm going to arrange all this so I can fulfill all.
Okay, that's good.
That's for me. And the rest is mastery will come after that, and stewardship will come after that. It will come, all would come in one. But the first one is to focus what you are doing, and then how you arrange everything, and everything will come.
Thank you
That's
very
for me.
much. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. So it sounds like you are someone who doesn't like to be micromanaged. Is that right?
Micromanage?
Yeah. You don't like
I would
other people to micromanage you.
Not really, because I'm given a responsibility to all those. So I have
No,
I have,
I'm saying
choice.
other people micromanaging you. You don't like that.
Micro people.
Micromanage. That means
and micro other people.
your boss keeps asking you about your work.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. If I understand you right, means whatever task given to me, I mean I have to finish it before I'm being asked that. Malina, you haven't settled this. Malina, you haven't sent this. Malina, you haven't. Yeah. So I have to finish whatever given the task given to me, and I have to settle it before someone else asks.
Okay.
That is my rules. Is that
Thank you
correct?
very much. Yep, that's
For
exactly
the
it.
micromanage? Oh, okay.
So here's what I want everyone to do, right? If you have subordinates under you, if you have people under you have students under you, then identify what do you believe their people drive is. Which of these 4 is their number 1? And you can certainly find out by watching their behaviors, by listening to how they talk. From today, we can see that there's a lot of purpose-oriented people. I work here not because of the money. I like the money. Thank you very much, UM. I like the money very much. But I'm here because I really want to do this job well. Okay, I want to educate students. I want to create people who can actually go out and make a difference. So there's like purpose there, there's stewardship there. Yeah. There's, when we talk about mastery and autonomy, just because mastery being number one does not mean that you're selfish, right? Because you want to be good at something so that you can help other people as well. So that's where mastery comes first, and then purpose comes second. There's no right answer which one comes first, which one comes last. For me, stewardship comes first, and then my purpose, and then my mastery, and then my autonomy. So the idea is, if you can identify with your people, with your students, okay, you watch, you observe, you get to know them better, then you'll be able to see which one of these is the motivation factor that you can leverage. All right, so let's take a look at them one by one very quickly before we take a break. So mastery is, like we said, about people who want to improve themselves. How do we encourage them? How do we motivate them? How do we empower them? Well, mastery depends very much on feedback. And when we say feedback, the feedback has to be specific. Yeah, not, oh, good job. Oh, you did report very well. Okay. Tell them specifically what they did well. Yeah, tell them specifically what they did well. So this is what we call micro feedback. Do not wait for 3 months performance review, 6 months or 1 year. By then it'll be too late. So give them micro feedback, and micro feedback means that whatever they did well, you say they did well. Whatever they need improving, you say what they need improving. Do not focus on the weakness at all. Okay. So this is the company I used to work for called Accenture. And this is in 2015. I left the company in August 2015. Before I left, in July, they made a sweeping decision. They're removing all of the performance reviews, like 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. They discovered it doesn't work. It doesn't work to help to improve performance. What they started doing was they started implementing micro feedback. So leaders would give micro feedback on a daily basis. And when we hear the word feedback, sometimes we panic because, oh, feedback means something negative. No, it must mean something positive first. So one of the techniques for micro feedback is what we call 2+1. Everyone write this down, please. So in 2+1, you identify, you go up to your subordinate and you identify 2 things that they did well. Give them specifics. 2 things that they did well. Okay. And then +1, you give 1 suggestion for improvement. So now this is very important, guys. If you want to give feedback on a report, let's just say you call your subordinate and you say, okay, I want to share something about this report. You open up the report in front of them and you say, this report. You don't say you wrote the report. Okay, so this is a method called P+A. So P means people, A means action. So what is the philosophy of this? You want to separate the person from the action. You don't say you wrote this report badly. You start with this report. Okay, this report has this, and this. So 2+1, we go back to 2+1. You, I don't want to use the word, but kita puji. But in English we say acknowledge. You acknowledge, you recognize 2 things that they did well. So for example, you open up the report and you say, okay, I see you use the style guide. So good that the style guide was used in this report. Okay, the style guide was used in this report. So now this report is consistent with all other reports. Okay. Number 2, I also noticed that there's a lot of paragraphing used. Instead of 1 big block of text, makes it look like a research paper. So several paragraphing has been used, which makes it easier to read. So that's 2. Yeah. Now, how do we transition to the 1? How do you transition to the 1? That plus 2+1, that +2, be very careful. There's a word that you cannot use, and that word is but. So imagine this. Okay, this report, okay, follow the style guide. Good. And also a good paragraphing. Well done. But what comes after but? I'm going to ask you this question. Whenever you hear somebody give you praise, give you a compliment, and then they use the word but, what's the next thing you think of? Tell me in the chat. What's the next thing you think of? Something bad. So, if you say, wah, doktor, cantik tudung tu doktor. Tapi kan, my question, tell me yes or no in the chat kan. Do you remember that I puji the tudung? Yes or no? Doktor, tudung tu cantik lah. Tapi kan, nope. The brain wipes it out. Because why? We are so conditioned to, attaching a negative to the word but. Now, here's the problem. When we use the word but, we're not intentionally using it in a negative way. But the people hearing the word, automatically they reframe and then they put their defenses up. Which means that whatever we say to them after that, they will block. They will not be listening to us. Okay, so how do we hack that? Replace the word but with and. Okay, so this report, okay, I see the report user style guide, good. Number 2 is, I see good paragraphing here. Okay, well done. And in order to make this report perfect or make this report better, now all you have to do is this. You go for improvements immediately. Do not even talk about the weaknesses. They know when you tell them the improvements, they know what the weaknesses are. Nobody wants to hear weaknesses. Okay, so in micro feedback, that means verbal, yeah, you use what we call 2+1 method. This is based on strength psychology, which has come about in the last 15 years, I believe, where instead of focusing on fixing weaknesses, we focus on improving strengths. Things that we're already good at, we improve that. Because there's good, strong research that indicates that when you focus on the weaknesses, the strengths start going down. Yeah, so focus on what we already have, and they will help cover those weaknesses. So how do you verbally give microfeedback? We have a method called 2+1. And 2+1 means you say 2 nice things, okay, about their work, +1, you provide a suggestion. Now, only positive leaders can do this because why? It is easy to criticize. It is very easy to criticize. Sedap. It's beautiful, it's lovely, it's tasty to criticize. What's difficult to do as a leader is to actually come up with a solution and provide a suggestion. Okay, so this is what we call microfeedback. All right, what questions do you have? Please ask me now. If you have no questions, give me an N in the chat. N for Nadzrin. Yes, Mohd, please ask your question.
Yeah, I have one question. I just wonder if we, talk about their strengths and then some of the improvement for their strengths, then would that, the staff or students, they cannot get, or they cannot realize their weaknesses on certain things that they need to fix or improve?
That is true, okay? But we don't do that in the microfeedback. Microfeedback is done on a daily basis. You want to reserve for more critical things, then you reserve for formal feedback, like in meetings or things like that, like once a week, once a month. So in that case, yes. Mastery has to do with microfeedback. And microfeedback is always done verbal and preferably face-to-face because it's an emotional component. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we're not saying that, no, cannot mention their weakness at all. I'm saying in the 2+1 microfeedback, don't mention the weaknesses. And that allows them to focus on fixing one problem at a time. Why 2+1? Why not 2+17? Guys, if I were to give you 17 items to fix today, how many will you get done? Probably not at all. So what we do is we chunk down. We notice that this student has 17 problems, 17 issues. You want to develop them. You want the behavior to change and stay changed. So we give microfeedback every day. They fix one at a time. Does that make sense to everyone? So only Felinda has given me an N. How about everyone else? So let me ask you again. If you have a question, you can ask me now. If you have no questions, give me an N in the chat. Because I cannot see you, I don't know whether you understand or not. This is the best way for me to get your feedback. All right, thank you. Let's move on to A for autonomy. Okay, so A for autonomy, there's been a lot of experiments out there in the working world, in the corporate world, and what they've discovered is that when you give autonomy to your staff, not total autonomy, not like you become CEO, not like that. When you give autonomy to your staff, what happens is their productivity actually increases because they are allowed to work the way they want to. So there's a couple of quite extreme examples, I would say, but it seems to have worked. This company called Atlassian, based in Australia, they said to their staff, we're going to implement a 4-day work week. You work Monday to Thursday only. On Friday, you can work on any project you want, okay? But with the one condition. At the end of that week, okay, when you show us what you worked on. Okay, so Atlassian says, we'll give you 1 day for you to work on your own projects within the company, on the condition that you show us what you worked on. And what happened was, these employees who started working on their own side projects, the side projects actually made them money. So Atlassian, allowed them to patent and also invested in some of their projects, some of their software, and that has allowed them to be co-owners, has allowed them to actually earn while working for Atlassian. Google is a better example because a lot of people know this. My question is, how many people have a Gmail account? Give me a yes in the chat. How many people have a Gmail account? Yes? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm not even talking about like a Google Classroom educator account that was given to you. No, you actually registered for a Gmail account. Okay. Did you know that Gmail was actually a side project from a Google employee? He hated Hotmail at the time. There was a Hotmail. He hated how Hotmail looked. He hated how Microsoft Office, the Outlook looked, and he decided, I'm going to design something that's even better, easier to use. So he worked on that on his own time, which Google allowed. So Google allowed, if I remember right, like every month they have 1 day or 2 days off where they can work on their own projects within Google. They can use Google resources, and then Google will help to fund. Now, Google has a lot of failed projects. If anybody remembers, Google tried to create a social media platform. They call it Google Plus. Google Plus has disappeared. There was also Google Wave. There was also, they had Google Videos. Before they bought YouTube, they had Google Videos. Also went the way of nothingness. So what happened? For instance, I love Google Plus. Well, it's dead. I tried posting there, but none of my friends was there, so it died. But there are projects that got traction, and Gmail was one of them. So the employee got to patent Gmail. Google gave them resources and stuff like that, and he's a millionaire as well. He's already a millionaire because now what did they do? They have sold Gmail to companies. There are companies, instead of using Microsoft Exchange, email by Microsoft, they're using email by Gmail, by Google. And that's already money making. So I use the example, but I'm not saying that this is something that you can do or you must do in UM, like say, give your people time off. Autonomy here means giving them responsibility to solve their own problems, not dump problems onto them. Giving them that leeway to say, okay, I want to see how you solve this yourself. Okay, and aside from Atlassian and Google, we have quite a few other examples. Wikipedia is one example of total autonomy. It's not even a company. It's just people coming together and helping to create the content of Wikipedia in many different countries, different languages. There's also this movement called the results only work environment, of which I was part of when I was working at Accenture. At first, I was really weirded out. I tak faham lah. You have this clock in, clock out system with companies. So that's very British style and very kilang style, as if you're working in a kilang. You clock in, you clock out. Results only work environment means that if you are given a task for that day and you finish that task within the day, you can go home. So that's what I did. There was a time when I first joined the company, which is called Accenture, and my boss came up to me and says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Nothing." And she says, "Have you finished all your tasks for the day?" And I said, "Yes, I finished." And she said, "Do you want some more?" And I said, "No, I don't want some more." And then she said to me, "Go home. What are you doing here? Jangan duk bazir elektrik dengan internet. Balik." And I go, "What? Is that a thing?" And she says, "Yes. If you're done, go home. You're done for the day. That means you've managed to cram in 8 hours worth of work into 4 or 5 hours. Balik lah." And I go, "This is weird," because I'm so used to that mentality of clock in, clock out, because I used to work for such companies. But it took a bit of getting used to. Now, people like to hear that. They don't like to hear the second part. Kalau kerja dah habis boleh balik kan? They don't like you to hear the second part, which is kalau kerja tak habis, lagi tak habis tu jangan balik. So there's a downside to that as well. So results only work environment means that your deliverables are your measurement, not whether you're sitting at your desk or not. That's very old school mentality of management, which is slowly disappearing, and the younger generation are realizing it. So when they come into an organization that still has this mentality of I must see you there in order for me to believe that you're working, they leave quite fast. Okay, so questions on autonomy, please ask me now. If not, give me an N in the chat and I shall proceed. What questions do you have on autonomy? For mastery, I gave you a technique. For autonomy, there's no particular technique, but there is an approach. The approach is give them a bit more responsibility. And if you need an analogy, if you have children, you know that in the beginning, you walk them to the shop. Then as they grow up a little bit more, you walk with them to the shop. And then as they grow up a little bit more, you give them money and they go to the shop. So it's slowly handing off responsibility to them to see whether they can handle it or not. And I know that's already part of some, career paths, but autonomy here means that you identify within your staff, within your students, is there anybody where autonomy is their number one drive? Okay, so I don't like to use the word manipulate, but you can leverage off of that to get them to do things, right? So give them that particular way of work. Okay, so let's do this one more time. If you have questions, please ask me now. If you have no questions, give me an N in the chat and I shall proceed to the next one. Belinda, what happened to your Google Plus account? What did you put there?
I'm not sure, but I like the layout. But just like you, none of my friends are there.
Layout dia cantik, putih kan? But that's it lah, there's nothing there. I like that your Google Photos, everything you took to a photo on your phone was automatically updated there.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you had Blogger, if you had a blog, you're using blogger.com, anything you post there would also go onto Plus as well. And that was cool, that was interesting. But then it died lah, what to do? Okay, now we take a look at purpose. Now, purpose, I'm going to share with you a couple of examples, yeah? Now, there was once an issue in a hospital in the United States, and the issue was this, right? There was a lot of cross-contamination between patients. That means patients in Ward A would get cross-contaminated to patients in Ward B. Why? Because doctors and nurses were not washing their hands. Now, I know it sounds weird. You think hospitals should have good policies, SOPs. Yes, but within this particular hospital, they did not care as much. So the idea was they were cross-contaminating from ward to ward, from patient to patient. So what they needed to do was they needed to get the hospital staff to wash their hands with water and soap. So they had to create campaigns. Yeah, Malaysian government also likes to create campaign kan, berhenti merokok lah, minum air kelapa, minum minyak kelapa sawit lah, all of that stuff, the campaigns. So they decided to find out which campaign would work best. They posted 3 different posters around the hospital, okay, at the sink where they would wash their hands. So poster number 1 says, hand hygiene prevents you from catching diseases. So this message is to the doctors and nurses. The second poster says, hand hygiene prevents patients from catching diseases. And poster number 3 says, gel in, wash out. Wow, very, very catchphrasey again. So the hospital, they divided the hospital into three areas. In one area, they put only poster number 1. In area number 2, they put only poster number 2. And in area number 3, they put only poster number 3. Okay. Now, my question to you, 1, 2, or 3, which do you think had, give me, rank it for me, rank it for me. If you say that poster number 1 did the best, you give me 1 and then comma. If you think poster number 3 did second best, then you put 3. Okay, so for example, maybe you can say like 3, 2, like that. Yeah, like exactly, Dr. Shiba, thank you. So I want everyone to rate which do you think did best and which do you think did worse. Okay, so Dr. Shiba says she thinks the first one did the best, hand hygiene prevents you get disease. And then the third one, gel in, wash out, also did well. The least was hand hygiene prevents patients from getting disease. Okay. Boon says number 3 did best because it's catchy. Number 2 is hand hygiene, okay, prevents patients from getting diseases. And then number 1 is the worst. Okay. Felinda says 1, 2, 3. Malina ada 4. Mana ada 4? It's not 4. There's only 1, 2, and 3. Ching says 2, 1, and 3. Okay, Ching, do me a favor. Turn on your microphone and share with me why do you think number 2 did better than the rest. Suka the 4th. Where's the 4th? Tak ada 4th.
What I think is because the clinical staff is working in the hospitals, right? So I think but their purpose to work in the hospital is like want to save people's life. So that's the thing that if let's say the tagline is to prevent the patients from catching diseases, right? So yes, this will like help them to make more sense in my opinion.
Thank you very much. So what they discovered was the first one got behavior change. Okay, the doctor and nurses were washing their hands more. The third one, gel in, wash out, got some behavior change. But the best out of the 3 was actually the second one, where the poster said to the doctors, when you wash your hands, when you clean your hands well, the patients survive. The patients don't catch diseases. So the idea here is that they were trying to find out whether the doctors would care about them catching diseases themselves, or would they care about their patients. And overwhelmingly, they discovered that most doctors and nurses and medical officers and whoever is the staff, they responded best to number 2. Because apparently, okay, or this is the theory, is that most doctors and nurses, when they come into the medical profession, they're not doing it for the money. They're actually doing it to help people. They actually want to help people. And I have doctors in my family, so I know for sure that they say, look, we did not suffer through medical training in the university, kena maki dengan doctor just to make money. I would not have gone through all of that just to make money. Yeah, because they started for a reason. They wanted to help people. And the campaign designers designed it around that, and it seemed to have worked. So yes, number 2 was all 3 did okay, but number 2 did the best. Because why? It leveraged off a purpose. Okay, let's give you a second example. This is an example of a university, and I don't know if universities in Malaysia does this, but in America they do this. In a particular university, they had volunteers from the undergrads, the students who were still studying there, to call up alumni and ask them for donations. Yeah, ask them for donations. What were the donations for? They were for a study fund for poor students. Okay, so in UIA, we have this something called Wakaf, IIUM Wakaf, where there is money to help out poor students to study, to eat. Less of a sponsorship or a scholarship, but it's more of assistance. So this was similar in that students had to sit in a call center and call up former alumni of the university and ask them for donations. So what the campaign designers did was they wanted to find out what would motivate these undergrads, these volunteer undergrads, to be able to call as much people as possible, persuade as much alumni as possible. So what they did was they had 3 groups. The first group was a control group. They did nothing to these people. They just say, here are the phone numbers, go and call. Okay. The second group, they gave them letters from former students who had worked at that call center. So what did the letters say? They said things like, I really enjoyed working at this call center. I felt, I could contribute a lot. And when we got the money from alumni, I felt like I was really helping people. I was really helping poor students to be able to study because they didn't get scholarships or they're able to support themselves. So first one, nothing. Second group, they were given real letters. The third group were also given letters, but this time they were given letters written by the stakeholders, written by the students who received those funds. And they were reading letters like, if this fund did not exist, I would not be able to achieve my dreams. I would not be able to graduate. I would not be able to go on to be an engineer. So these letters were given to them. Now, if I were to ask you this question now, I suspect you can tell me the answer. Which approach do you think did best in motivating the students to actually call more, persuade more people to give money? 1, 2, or 3? What do you think? Give me only one number, 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so you're catching on. The did nothing one had the lowest number. The second one had a good number, but the group who read letters from beneficiaries, they did the best. They were really passionate about calling up alumni, persuading them and telling them, I've read letters from these people, and some of them I really wish that you could help more people like this. Yeah, and the people from the third group did the best in their calls. Okay. Now, let me share with you mine. So I told you mine was stewardship as number 1, but I do also have a purpose component that drives me as well. I want to become a professional learning facilitator, and that's a little bit different from a trainer, because like a corporate trainer, what he or she does is they teach lah. But a professional learning facilitator is someone who facilitates learning, makes it easy for people to learn according to their learning preferences. So I thought in the beginning, when I first started out in this career in 2015, I thought I was going to do it for the money because I want to feed my family. The money did come. But I found that when I focused on the money, I became very stressed. I became very depressed because I was counting money, and I was worrying about money. And when I'm worried about money, I couldn't teach as well. If we have educators in the class right now, we have educators in the Zoom right now, tell me you understand what it feels like. That when we focus on the money, we lose our desire to teach, or we feel guilty that, I'm doing this for the money. Can somebody just share with me in the chat, do you feel the same way? Are there educators in here who understand what I've described, how I feel? That when I focused on the money, it actually made my teaching worse. I couldn't actually perform well when I delivered my courses. Anyone at all? All right. So I can also do it for the fame, because if you're a corporate trainer, wow, especially in Malaysia, and you get really big clients, then you can actually do this quite well. You can have be well known across different companies, across different training providers. But I found that when I focused on why I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for the families of the people who come and learn from me. Because if I can teach you, if I can upskill you, and you earn better as a result of your career becoming improved, right? Then I feel a lot better. And that's why to this day, whenever in some senses, sometimes when clients say they don't have the budget for me to come to training, I say fine, whatever is your budget. But of course, I do this for only certain clients who sound sincere. I say, what's your budget? We'll do that. Okay, because if you really want to learn this, I have no right to keep it from you. And that's what drives me today. So my stewardship and also my purpose. All right. What questions do you have? Please give me, ask me right now or give me an N in the chat. Okay, no questions means one of two things. Sangat-sangat faham or sangat-sangat tak faham sampai tak tahu nak tanya soalan apa. Okay, only Felinda has given me an N. Let's check with everyone else. Do you understand? If you have no questions, give me an N. All right. So let's close off with the last one before we take our break. Stewardship is pretty simple. It just means that we want to give back. We want to do something to benefit the community or the community we're working with. And when I was working with Accenture, I got to work in the L&D, Learning and Development Unit. I call it a unit, but it's actually 5,000 people across the planet. Accenture is a company that has 500,000 staff. So being in the Learning and Development Center, we had a learning center in KL. We have 4 other learning. See, this is how much I'm in love with my previous company. I still use the word we. They have 5 learning centers globally. KL was one of them, and I was based there. And I got to meet thousands of people across 7 years, people who came from all across the world to come to the learning center. And this is only Accenture staff, by the way. Okay, I trained only Accenture staff. And I got to see that I was making a difference in their lives. They would come, this is the best part. When I started working there in 2008, I would meet them in 2008 as a entry level. And then in 2015, 7 years later, I get to see them again, coming back as managers or senior managers. They rose through the ranks and they say, Nadzrin, you're still here. And I say, you're still here, but you've gone up in rank. And they say, thank you very much for all the courses that you guys have run, because it really helped me in my career. So I believe that if you're an educator and your students have come back to you time after time, or they've messaged you on Facebook, or they've WhatsApped you to say thank you, then you'll understand what this meaning of stewardship is. Stewardship is different from ownership. Ownership means taking care of what belongs to you. But stewardship means taking care of something that belongs to someone else. Okay? So what are some of the things that Accenture has given me? Well, uncountable, I'd say. On the left, you can see that photo there. That is the Learning Center in St. Charles, Chicago. I was there for 2 weeks, managed to benchmark quite a bit for our Learning Center. The one in the middle, that bright looking thing with the IKEA chairs, that's our Learning Center in KL. It was based in Sheraton Imperial. And Accenture does a lot of projects where they allow their staff to take time off. So for example, ADP, Accenture Development Partnerships, allows you to, if you're getting bored with your project with clients, you get disillusioned with hungry and greedy corporate people, then you have the opportunity to go onto an ADP project. And ADP project is where you, as a consultant, as an Accenture consultant, maybe your specialty is in oil and gas or processes or health, stuff like that, and you can actually help NGOs. Of course, what happens is your salary gets slashed. Okay, you get a lessened salary, but you get to work in another country and contribute. So a lot of Accenture professionals have taken on ADP. It's changed their lives because they get to go to Africa. They get to help improve processes that nobody wants to touch. But because you have consulting experience, you have the ability to help big companies. You can also help charities. You can also help small towns, small villages to improve their what they do. And in university they call this Bhakti Siswa. Students will go and they will go on a Bhakti Siswa. They will help out a village somewhere. I don't know if that's still done. Is it still being done? I don't know. When I was in uni, we had quite a few of those. But I did not realize the impact we would leave on these people, on these villages. Many, many years later, they will still contact me and say, remember you came to our village and you did this and this and this. And I go, wow. For me, it was a holiday. But for you, apparently, we actually made a difference. So that's stewardship for you. Okay, so we're going to take a 15-minute break before we continue with topic number 2. My question to you is, what questions do you have? What would you like to know? Malina says serve. What does serve mean, Malina? Are you there, Malina? All right, so let's do one last round. If you have questions, please ask me now. If you have no questions, serve what? Yes.
To me, when you okay, for example, like when you said you're going for Baptisiswa, you went to a village and then you serve the people of the village. Actually,
Yes.
you are serving them, but without realizing that. That time you won't feel that, oh, I'm serving. Actually, you are serving them, right? So
At the time, kita budak hingosan lagi, so we didn't know what we were doing. All we knew is our lecturers gave us something to do. We had to collect data, we had to collect some information and bring it back so that we could make use of that. But for us, it was a holiday. We went to Pulau Redang. That kampung in Pulau Redang is no longer there. Berjaya has bought over the island and they moved everybody to the mainland. So I still keep in touch with my mak angkat and my adik angkat. But it's sad because they moved everyone out. But it was amazing. It was amazing to be able to be there. I did not feel like I served them until much later in life. So yes, thank you very much.
When they appreciate you, yeah. When they appreciate you, then you realize that, oh,
yes,
you did something which people actually realize. You just realize that once when you think that they appreciate you. Something
That's
like that.
right. That's right. And the best part about stewardship is you don't actually need recognition. You don't actually need people to say thank you. If you're driven by stewardship, you do it nonetheless. You do and you forget. And you just keep moving to the next project. You keep moving on to the same next thing. If you find someone in your organization who just loves fixing processes, they find something, ini kenapa longgar ya lepas ni? They will fix it. Okay? So most probably they are driven by stewardship, not mastery, not autonomy, not purpose, but they just want to see people live better. Okay, so that's stewardship for me. And I believe that, if we can instill this with our students, fix and forget, instill this with our students into our younger generation, wow, that's amazing. Okay, so here's the thing. During the break, I want you to think about it. You don't have to report back to me. Think about it. The people that you work with, the staff that are under you, your subordinates, your peers, your students maybe, pick up 2 or 3 names and then ask yourself, if I know this person well, what do I think is their number 1 drive? And then experiment. Go and try and influence them using that particular drive. And if it doesn't work, okay, maybe it's something else. Yeah, maybe it's something else. So observe a little bit more. All right. It is 10:40 right now. We're going to go for a break until 11 a.m. If you are ready to go for your break, give me a ready in the chat. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I will see you at 11 o'clock. Have a good break. Bye-bye.
Korang dah try belum surat dalam
If you don't wanna see me, did a full 180, crazy, thinking about the way I was. Did the heartbreak change me? Maybe, but look at where I ended up. I'm all good already, so moved on. It's scary. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, if you wanna believe that anything could stop me, don't show up, don't come out, don't start caring. Don't show up, don't come out, don't start caring about me now. Walk away, you know how. Don't start caring about me now. Don't stop now. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, if you wanna believe that anything could stop me, don't show up, don't show up, don't come out, don't come out, don't stop caring about me now, walk away, you know how, don't stop caring about me now. Walk away.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. You know you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you. hates, but I think it's so sexy. She's so beautiful, and I tell her every day. Oh, you know, I never ask you to change. If perfect's what you're searching for, then just stay the same. So don't even bother asking if you look okay. You know I'll say, when I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change, 'cause you're amazing, just the way you are. And when you smile, the whole world stops and stares for a while. 'Cause girl, you're amazing, just the way you are. The way you are. The way you are. Girl, you're amazing, just the way you are. When I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change, 'cause you're amazing, just the way you are. And when you smile, the whole world stops and stares for a while. 'Cause girl, you're amazing, just the way you are. Yeah. No limit in the sky that I won't fly for you. No amount of tears in my eyes that I won't cry for you. Oh no, with every breath that I take, I want you to share that air with me. There's no promise that I won't keep. I climb a mountain that's none too steep. When it comes to you, there's no crime. Let's take both of our souls and intertwine. When it comes to you, don't be blind. Watch me speak from my heart. When it comes to you, comes to you. Want you to share that. Cupid in a light arrow got your name on it. Oh yeah. Don't miss out on the love and regret yourself on it. Open up your mind, clear your head. Ain't gotta wake up to an empty bed. Share my life, it's yours to keep. Now that I give to you all of me. When it comes to you, there's no crime. Let's take both of our souls and intertwine. When it comes to you, don't be blind. you got plans. Don't say that. Shut your trap. I'm sipping wine. In a robe. I look too good to be alone. My house clean. My pool warm. Just shake. Smooth like a newborn. We should be dancing, romancing in the east wing and the west wing of this mansion. What's happening? I ain't playing no games. Every word that I say is coming straight from the heart. So if you're trying to lay in these arms, I'ma leave the door open. I'ma leave the door open. I'ma leave the door open, girl. I'ma leave the door open, open. Let you feel the way I feel and you want me like I want you tonight, baby. Tell me that you're coming through. Ooh, you're so sweet, so tight, I won't bite unless you like. If you smoke, I got the haze. And if you're hungry, girl, I got the lace. Ooh, baby, don't keep me waiting. There's so much love we could be making. I'm talking kissing, cuddling, rose petals in the bathtub. Girl, it's jumping, it's bubbling. I ain't playing no games. Every word that I say is coming straight from the heart. So if you're trying to lay in these arms, I'ma leave the door open. I'ma leave the door open. I'ma leave the door open, girl. I'ma leave the door open. Let you feel the way I feel and you want me like I want you tonight, baby. Tell me that you're coming through. La 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 la, I need you, baby. La la la, la la la, I got to see you, baby. La la la, la la la, girl, I'm trying to give you this. Hey, I'ma leave my door open. I'ma leave the door open, baby. I'ma leave my door open, girl. And I'm hoping that you feel the way I feel and you want me like I want you tonight, baby. Tell me that you're coming
The club isn't the best place to find a lover, so the bar is where I go. Me and my friends at the table doing shots, tripping fast, and then we talk slow. And you come over and start up a conversation with just me, and trust me, I'll give it a chance. Now take my hand, stop it, and the man on the jukebox, and then we start to dance. And now I'm singing like, girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, follow my lead. I may be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead. I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. And last night you were in my room, and now my bedsheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. Well, I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body. the shape of you. When we can, we let the story begin. We're going out on our first date. You and me are thrifty, so go all you can eat. Fill up your bag and I fill up the plate. We talk for hours and hours about the sweet and the sour and how your family's doing okay. And leaving, getting attacked.
All right, let's do a survey. Let's see how many people are back and ready to go. If you're back, give me a ready in the chat. We got 1, thank you, Boon. 2, 3, 4. Here. 5. So we got 5 people back. Any more? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so 6. We got 6 people. Cool. All right. So now that we've covered the topic of motivation under the topic of people drive, now I want to introduce you to another concept, which is more specific in that you can actually identify what are the behaviors of different people and how you can use that to be able to connect and convince them. So this particular model is called the social styles. And in the social styles, it was created in 1955 and is currently being researched by a company called the Tracom Group. And what they've done is they've taken a lot of the personality and behavioral research, so behavioral psychology research, and they've identified that if you measure people's behaviors, okay, if you measure people's behaviors, you get a lot of data points that tell you these people have patterns in their behaviors. So if you were to take, for example, you measure everybody's speed of speech, how fast they speak. That's one. You measure how many words they speak per minute. You measure how loud they speak. Or you measure, I'm sorry, I didn't realize my camera was off. You measure how far their hand goes away from their body when they speak. So if you take all of these data points from all of these behaviors and you throw them onto a wall, what happens is researchers discovered they actually cluster into 4 behavior types. Now, I want you to remember, this is not about personality typing. Personality is very, very unmeasurable, very difficult to measure, and it changes every day. And there are instruments for that. But today we're going to be talking about behavior only. When I say behavior, what people can see on your face, what people can hear in your voice, and what people can see on your body. So if we take that into account, what happens is we see 4 patterns emerge. That there are people out there who are, when they talk very fast, they make decisions very fast, and they do work very fast. Okay, so that means that there are certain people who are very, in terms of speed of behavior, tend to be faster. When these people are also task-oriented, it means that they love to talk about work. They don't like to talk about people. They will ask you for the progress updates. What report do you have? When you take these 2 elements together, fast and task-oriented, you get what we call driving behavior. Driving behavior, these people, they're so focused on work and results, they don't, sometimes they don't care, or they don't focus on manners, right? So if you've ever had a boss who is driving, what they will tend to do is, hey, I need it by 5 o'clock. Get this done, eh? No please, no thank you, nothing. They just come up to you and they say, I want this done. Now, does that mean that they are evil people? No. Their behavior is just like that. Some of us had fathers like this. Yeah. And we used to say, and because we are their children, we know, especially the daughters, they know that their fathers dekat luar saja garang, dalam hati ada taman. So external behaviors that we measure and we classify as driving behavior, you see it in quite a few people. Yeah? I mean, you see it in a former Prime Minister of Malaysia. You see it in the founding Prime Minister of Singapore. You see it in Donald Trump, of course. Not a very good example, but the social style remains the same, that he is fast and task-oriented. Then you also have people who tend to be slower, right? They talk slow, they do work slow, they also make decisions slow. And if these people are also people-oriented, then we have what is called the amiable social style. And amiables, what do? Well, they place other people as more important than them when it comes to work, when it comes to tasks. So if they want to make a decision, for example, they will ask other people's opinions first because they don't want to kacau orang. Whenever somebody, puts them on the spot, stresses them out, and asks questions like, what's your opinion? They would prefer to say, tak apalah, we go with your opinion. Whatever you decide is best, I'll go with that. So as you can see, these two behaviors are already very contrasting. You got driving behavior, very hard and fast, and you got amiable, very slow and relaxed. Now, my question is, let's do this first, right? Tell me in the chat, has anybody met a driving person before in their lives? Maybe at work or maybe at home, maybe one of your friends. How many people have met driving people before? Yes or no? Okay, we got one yes. If you've never met, give me a no. Okay, so we got two yeses. All right, 3. Okay, Asha says no. Okay. Shahidra, welcome. I believe you have just joined us just in time. My question is, would you do us the favor of turning on your microphone and then share with us a little bit about this person that you've met? You say is driving person. Can you describe them to us, please?
Okay, thank you. Actually, sorry, I just joined because I have
no worries
before.
That's okay.
Okay, I don't know. Actually, I think maybe I'm afraid it will be sensitive because I think it's someone from our university. So maybe we can imagine who.
Okay, then don't imagine. Just share with me the characteristics of the person.
Okay, the important thing is we have to try to push ourselves to the limit, of course, to achieve all the target, okay, and the vision, mission from university. And I'm not sure, maybe it's not excuses from the worker of staff. The person will not, I'm not sure, ignore or the person want us to just try to achieve and without taking into consideration all the excuses or the difficulties that faced by the staff or workers like that. So maybe I can just say like that.
Okay, I mean, that sounds pretty much driving right there. Usually what comes out of the driving is, I don't care how you're going to get it done. All I know is it's done. So if you've ever heard these kinds of statements, kan, macam mana kau nak buat, kau buat lah. Yang aku tahu siap. So please write this down, everybody. Driving people are results oriented. They are results oriented. They are not very process oriented. What they give you a task, all they know is I've delegated to you, you get it done. Okay, no excuses. You find a way to get it done. So driving people, how do they motivate people? They motivate people through force. And if it's done the right way, it can be very empowering. I'm sure some people have met driving people who go, hey, I know you can do this. I've seen you do it before. Okay, you can get this done. I know you can. I believe you. So it's not so much when you look at their tone of voice, you look at the body language, you look at the face, wish, marah ke? Tak marah. Memang macam tu. Muka dia memang macam tu, suara dia memang macam tu, memang perangai dia memang macam tu. So in social styles, we talk about perangai. We don't talk about the heart or the brain because we cannot see inside them. We look at their behaviors and we judge them based on what we see. So thank you very much for that, Chaidra. That perfectly describes the driving behaviors there. Let's ask everyone else, has anybody met an amiable? An amiable is, if I were to describe it, before you answer yes or no, young guys, let's contrast the amiable with the driving. If you come into the office and you find your stapler missing, right? And you are driving. So driving will go, siapa ambil stapler aku? And somebody puts their hand up. Ambil tak minta izin, kau letak balik sekarang. So that guy has to walk over, put back the stapler. If it was an amiable, and he comes into the office and he goes, ada orang pinjam stapler saya. Siapa? Oh, okay. Dah siap nanti bagi tahu. Saya datang ambil. Dia punya stapler, orang ambil tak ada permission, dia pergi datang ambil. Okay, so amiables are very contrasting to driving people. Driving people are very conflict or risk ready. They are conflict ready, whereas amiables, they don't like conflict. And you know, things that come out their mouths, they say, when people say, kenapa kau bagi bos buat macam tu kat kau? Kenapa kau tak cakap? And the amiable will go, tak apalah, panjang cerita nanti lah, banyak cerita lah. Aku tak nak gaduh-gaduh lah. Kita banyak lagi kerja nak buat ni. So, tak cerita lagi lah. Kita lupakan je lah. So, these are amiables. So, now, my question. How many people have met amiables before? Give me a yes or no. Okay, Aisha, welcome to the session. Can we bother you? Because I've had everyone else turn on their microphone this morning to share. So now we're going for the people who just dropped in. Aisha, do me a favor. Can you turn on your microphone?
Yes.
And share with us characteristics. Apa cerita orang amiable ni?
Okay. I'm not sure whether. All right. Hi everyone.
There's no right or wrong answers here. Don't worry.
Yes. I'm not sure whether this is observable by everyone, but this is from my observation and experience. I think we have a lot of this type of people, especially for the Asian culture. Perhaps because of we tend to, for example, kita ada a lot of rank kan.
Yeah.
Yang tua, yang muda kena hormat yang tua, and yang bawah hormat yang atas, something like that. And that might be one of the reason why we tend to, it's okay. Okay, another one, perhaps we tend to conform to a group. Doesn't matter whether cultural group ataupun kita ada research group, something like that. So we tend to say whatever decision ataupun opinion, our opinion is based on the group's opinion.
Yes.
So most of the time kita akan, okay, it's okay. Oh, sorry. So we ask people first rather than show our true colors or tell what I think first. And that's very different with the Western, where they are very individualistic and they show their uniqueness as in an individual. So that's my opinion about the amiable people, but I'm not sure because I don't know yet the other two, other two types of behavior.
Well, actually, you're spot on. So the one thing about social styles is it is individual human behavior. What you have done is you have gone one step ahead and you're talking about cultural styles. So driving people, my question, are there driving people in Malaysia, yes or no?
Yes, ada, but normally dia sangat, I mean the rank is very up there. They're very, the confidence level is very, macam tak boleh, orang lain tak boleh cakap apa. And they don't care, just get it done. And but I'm not sure whether Mr. Nadzrin is, okay, when we say that amiable people is more likely to ask what people's opinion first rather than his or her opinion. But are they not result oriented?
Well done. The answer for driving is that they are results oriented. So everyone write that down. Driving people are results oriented. Amiable people are relationship oriented. So when we say oriented, does not mean that they don't like results. It means their priority number one is maintaining relationships because they believe that relationships get results.
All right.
Driving people don't believe that relationships get results. So results is number one. Relationships you build later.
Yes. So I think, I mean, my Sarani, what I'm thinking of a politician, for example, what sort of behavior a good politician can have. So
this is delving into different territory. But if you guys are interested, here's the thing: There is no one perfect style for anything. There is no one perfect style for anything. So let me just reveal the other two styles. This one is analytical and this one is expressive. So the people who I've represented here, you know Donald Trump, I suspect. Analytical, that's Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft. And for expressive, we have Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Airlines, Virgin Cola, Virgin Record. Okay, the mentor to Tony Fernandez. So kalau nampak Tony Fernandez gila-gila kan, well, tengoklah tok guru dia siapa lah. Okay, so here's the thing. What if I told everyone that according to the statistics compiled from 1955 until today, that they found a fair balance of all four styles in all countries. That means in Malaysia ada 4 style ni, in America ada 4 style ni, in Australia ada 4 style ni. But of course according to their cultural norms lah. So in Malaysia you have driving people, ada yang jenis apa maki-maki orang, yang jenis tak sabar punya manusia, ada. You also have the amiables. But then you brought up an interesting point. Kenapa saya nampak macam ramai amiable saja? Well, what happens is Malaysia is culturally amiable, which means that the people who feel most comfortable in Malaysia are amiables. The people who feel most uncomfortable in Malaysia are the driving people and the expressive people. So far, so good. Are you catching on so far? Why are they not comfortable? Because the cultural norms in Malaysia does not fit their social norm, dia punya social style. Orang driving kalau dia tak puas hati dia buat apa? Dia cakap kan. But Malay culture says, hey, jangan cakap terang macam tu sangat. Berlapik-lapik lah sikit. But the driving behavior people, they go, why? If I don't like, I say, senang. You don't like, you say lah, senang. It's efficient, it's effective. Kita boleh buat kerja. Tak payah bazir masa. But because Malaysia has been influenced a lot by amiable culture, so that means even the driving people, dia terpaksa berlakon jadi amiable in meetings, in gatherings, sebab orang akan tembak dia. Unless they come into leadership position. When they are in leadership position, they can do whatever they want. The second question people ask me, kenapa ramai orang dalam leadership position driving? Well, the answer is this. If you know amiables very well, okay, driving people will always chase for a position. Okay, they are, I will not use the word greedy. They are goal-oriented. They will always chase for promotion. They'll always chase for a position. Why? Because itu dia punya target in life. I want to be able to get more authority so I can make more changes. I can benefit a lot of people. Amiable cakap apa? Tak apa, hampa pi dulu lah. Tak apa, pi lah. Betul, dia hampa pi, driver pi dulu lah. So they get the leadership positions, whereas amiables, they tend to be more status quo oriented. They prefer to stay with their team, with their friends. Which is why I've had numerous occasions where I had to coach government people who were offered positions, offered promotions, but they did not want to take the promotion. And when I asked them why, their common answer is, kalau saya naik pangkat atas daripada kawan-kawan saya akan hilang kawan-kawan saya. Tell me in the chat, guys, if you recognize this pattern, that people don't want to be promoted because they don't want to be, seen as the bad guy. Yes or no? Have you seen this pattern before? Okay. So here's the thing, right? Amiables, they are very democratic, they are very diplomatic. They will not say things directly to your face. They will find some way to hint until you get it. But does that mean they cannot make good leaders? No. Every one of these styles can become a good leader. There are a few conditions which we'll talk about after lunch. Yeah, but for right now, all you need to know is that there's no such thing as a bad social style for a leader. Okay, so if you're driving, you can Tun Mahathir boleh, Lee Kuan Yew boleh jalan, no problem. If you're amiable, now this is a bit of a challenge because a lot of us in Malaysia, especially corporate, we have been brought up and educated to believe that driving behavior is the best behavior for leaders. Okay, I'll say that again. We have been brought up to believe that driving behavior is the best behavior for leaders. But that's actually what the West tells us. if you look at how Asian society views their leaders, they view their leaders more as smart people, as intelligent. They don't need to make public speeches. They make good decisions. They think through things before they decide. So a lot of that has been lost already. But if you zaman sebelum public speaking, long before kings and sultans and presidents had to make public speeches, people did not care. It was only in the last couple of centuries, especially when Western influence, they teach us in presentation skills courses, you must make eye contact with your audience. But why is it so difficult for us to adopt that? Because Asian culture is very analytical and amiable, and we don't make eye contact easily. So that being said, that each and every one of these styles has a different approach, has different orientation. So write this down, everyone. Driving people are results oriented. Amiable people are relationship oriented. They will not make a decision unless everyone is okay with the decision. Analyticals are accuracy oriented. Write that word down. Ketepatan. Accuracy oriented. If you have a boss who's analytical, you make a mistake, you make a typo on the first page of your report, they will not read the rest of the report. They will send the report back to you and say, please fix this and then send me. Yeah, dia jumpa satu typo saja, dia hantar balik, go and fix everything. They will not read the rest of the report. So analytical people, they are very process oriented. They are very data driven. They are very evidence driven. So when they ask you questions, they have 3,000 questions for you to answer. Yeah. Macam mana awak tahu? Jumpa kat mana? Dapat kat mana maklumat ni? Siapa yang cakap? Siapa yang bagi? So in a professional setting, the analytical is a very tough boss because they will drill you until they get an answer. In a personal setting, these are the friends who ask you so many questions, you dah pening kepala. Okay, I have an analytical at home, my mother. My mother is, kalau kita nak kata, if I want to say to my mother, Mami malam ni tak payah masak lah, kita keluar makan lah, I have to prepare 5 answers. Answer number 1, nak pergi makan mana? Answer number 2, macam mana tahu makanan tu sedap? Now here's the problem. Nadzrin is amiable. Amiable, okay, I won't stereotype amiable, I just say Nadzrin lah. Nobody trusts Nadzrin for food reviews. If they ask Nadzrin, macam mana, sedap tak makan? Nadzrin akan kata, sedap, okey lah. And then when they go and eat, rupa-rupanya tak sedap, menyumpah-nyumpah. Dia kata, apa benda Nadzrin cakap ni? Kata sedap. So, to an extent, my mother does not trust me for food reviews at all. If I want to take my mother out to a restaurant, I have to check with my friend first. My friend, his name is Razi. We grew up together in school. Only thing is, he went to ITM to take his diploma chef training. I went to UIA to take my degree in communication. He became a chef and then became a manager of a hotel. So, but we're still good friends. And my mother trusts him for food to such an extent. She keeps saying, minta Razi recipe yang ni. So imagine me WhatsApping the manager of a big hotel, Ji, mak aku minta recipe, boleh minta tak recipe? Sampai macam tu sekali. So, if I want to take my mom up to a restaurant, I have to check with Razi first. I say, Ji, tempat makan ni okey tak? Kalau bawa my mother, you know my mother cerewet kan? Only if he says yes, then I'll reply to my mother, tempat ni sedap sebab Razi cakap sedap. So, if I say sedap, my mother will not trust me. If I use Razi punya nama, Razi kata sedap, then she will believe me. Question number 3, gerak pukul berapa? Question number 4, ikut jalan mana? Question number 5, balik pukul berapa? She needs to know all of this information before she decides whether she wants to go or not. Now, have you ever met an analytical like this before? I give you example, you nak ajak kawan pergi makan, just go for lunch, pergi mana? Makan apa? Siapa ikut? Buka bila kedai tu? So tell me in the chat, have you met people like this, yes or no? Analyticals, have you met analyticals before? Ada ya? Okay, Malina, do me a favor. I think a lot of people, you need analytical. Oh yes, it's not a stereotype, but they tend to gravitate towards certain types of courses. And if they make it all the way to masters and PhD, become lecturers, there's a higher percentage. I'm not saying stereotype. There's a higher percentage of analyticals being in there. But from my observation and from the reports I've seen, engineering memang ramai analyticals, a lot of analyticals. Human sciences or social sciences banyak juga enables dengan expressive. Law, quite a bit of driving and analyticals. So there's a mix and match here and there lah. You cannot really stereotype, but if you do a test, if you give them all social styles tests, you can see the clustering. Okay, so yes, let's ask Malina. Malina, you were one of the earlier to say yes. Can you describe what it's like interacting with an analytical? I'm not asking for good or bad. I'm asking for something neutral. What's it like interacting with an analytical?
You need to have the answers, and their answers must be accurate.
Oh yes.
And I mean yes, it must be really an accurate answer, because when you, which is true that when you say it's based on evidence, when say okay, if I database, right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. This is okay. This is how many? Okay. This number. Are you sure? Why this number? Are you sure it can? So you must have answers when you're dealing with those analytical peoples. That is my experience.
Thank you so much. Okay, perfect. That's exactly it. Aisha says must prepare with a lot of information before our discussion. I think yes, betul.
Information and evidences based on yeah.
Let's do a bit of a test, and the test is there's no right or wrong. It's from your experience. My question is, what words do analyticals hate to hear? Dia paling tak suka dengar apa? What word? I'm going to give you one word in the chat, which I think a lot of people will agree. They hate this word. Bila dia tanya berapa, and then you start, Dr. Shiba terus kata, approximately, agak-agak, kalau dia kata tak sure, dia paling tak suka, lebih kurang. What do you mean lebih kurang? Lebih ke kurang? Rasanya, sedap. Okay. Rasanya, any more? What words do they hate to hear? Dia paling tak suka dengar. Okay. Entah. Terpulang tu banyak datang daripada amiables. Terpulang. I think so, rather than I know so, rather than I'm sure. Okay, good. There's one thing also that the other guy, the expressive, likes to do. When the analytical asks a question to an expressive, let's try and cross pula for an expressive. An expressive kata, don't worry lah. Don't worry, I know how to do. You leave it to me. Trust me. What happens to the analytical when they hear that? What happens when you say to the analytical, don't worry. They're asking a question, but the only answer they're getting back is, don't worry, no problem, settle. Anxious, skeptical, rolling eyes. Okay, you're right. So as you can see, in social styles, we call this toxic relationships. Toxic relationships in that driving and amiable find it very difficult to work with each other because their priorities are different. Driving priority is results. Amiable priority the relationship. Driving kata, apa kau nak cakap, kau cakap. Aku tak kecil hati, cakap. Amiable, walaupun you cakap macam itu, tetap dia takkan cakap the reality. They will always try to jaga hati the driving, which actually pisses them off even more because it wastes time. Yeah, amiable is of the impression that if I talk nicely to a driving person, they will be nice to me. The fact is, it's totally opposite. If you want a driving person to like you, to communicate with you, to be able to interact with you, you must also be driving. Your behaviors, the outward look must also be driving. Because if you are using amiable language on a driving person, they don't understand. It's miscommunication. Sama lah when an expressive is using expressive language on analyticals. It makes no sense to them. So, you know Bill Gates, you know Donald Trump, you know Richard Branson. Isn't it weird that I have not introduced the amiable guy? Well, let me tell you who he is. This is Larry Page, co-founder of Google. Now, billionaire, 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 billionaire. They are all billionaires. What's the message I want to send? The message is twofold. Number one, there is no such thing as a social style that makes a bad leader. There's no such thing. Any social style can be a good leader. Number two, billionaires don't necessarily have to be from driving social style. They can come from anywhere. So if you want to become a billionaire, there's nothing stopping you. Okay. Now we have a question. Aini kata memanglah tak percaya, especially with those histories. What are you referring to, Aini?
The one that you said, confirm settle. So, so macam, okay, bye. I'm not going to trust you. I'm going to do this on my own, you know? No.
There's also one more thing about expressives. Their time management skills are a little bit out lah. So when they say confirm settle tu, berarti dah tak boleh, I need extra time lah. So if you look at analyticals and expressives, okay, analyticals are very accurate. Expressives are, you know, in the ballpark lah, in about there lah. So if you look at expressives, they are fast and people oriented. That means they do things fast, they talk fast, they also make decisions fast. But because they're people oriented, they talk fast to people. They interact, make decisions for people. And if I were to take all these 4 people, go to Mama, go mengeteh Mama kan, can you imagine the driving person will say, Mama, dia tarik satu, Mama jauh lagi, Mama dia tarik satu. The analytical, and I'm sure you've had this analytical friend you ajak pergi makan lunch, Mama, menu ada. Dia pun baca lah menu. Dia tengok satu. Everybody tunggu bila nak order Mama ni. And what would be the magic word from the analytical? Mama, 3 minit lagi. He sends him away. The analytical will look around and say, oh, you order teh tarik. Mama, teh tarik jugalah. Dia akan follow. Yeah. How do I know this? Because I am amiable. I know that tendency. So sometimes I purposely just to fight the urge kan. Tak adalah, I ambil benda lain lah. But it doesn't work anyway because then I regret. I should have ordered what she ordered. Expressives. Okay, expressives. Mama, teh tarik satu. And then Mama walks away. Mama walks away. What is the expressive do? Kejap, Mama. Cancel. Kopi. So they do work fast, they talk fast, they also U-turn very fast. They change their mind a lot. All right. So I believe you have experience with a lot of these people. Expressives, we tend not to see as much dalam organisation. Sebab kalau terlalu ramai expressive kan, dia rasa tak unik. So dia akan pergi pindah. Number 2 is expressive. They tend not to want to work in offices, indoors. Dia suka jadi salesman, they suka go outdoors, or they will become entrepreneurs. So if you look in back to when we were in school kan, banyak yang jadi staff, yang jadi employees tends to be analyticals and amiables in Malaysia. Banyak yang jadi entrepreneurs tend to be driving or expressive people. Atau dalam organisation in leadership tends to be driving people. I use the word tends to be because statistically you see that difference there. Okay, so let's go to some questions. I go to Shahidra first. Can we associate this to other personality type category? Okay, so first off, all 4 quadrant models for personality is based on the same research in 1920 by Dr. Carl Jung. Okay, so Carl Jung was the founder of wait, hang on a sec, get this right. I think he was the humanistic School of Psychology, if I got this right. I apologize, dah lama kena check balik. But his name is Carl Jung, and Carl Jung was the first one to propose based on the Greek 4 elements theory. Okay, he called them shadows. So the shadows were called magician, warrior, lover, and emperor. So from these, he created a new model which he used for psychoanalysis. And that model, that 4-quadrant model, he published in a book called Personality Types in 1920. But a lot of that has been disproved by now. However, that foundation, those 4 archetypes, have been seen in MBTI, the Myers-Briggs Type Index, has been seen in Personality Plus, which you're talking about here, choleric, melancholy, phlegmatic, and sanguine. Okay, so personality plus is also been seen in DISC. So DISC stands for dominance, influencing, steadiness, and conscientiousness or compliance. Now, because it's different researchers who did it, you might think there's an exact overlay, but when I did my comparison, I did my DISC. I also studied personality plus. When I layered them on, they don't exactly match. They don't exactly match because some of them, they are part analytical, part driving. They create a new category there. Okay, so Shaidra, I hope that answers the question. It's an interesting question I've discussed with my professors as well. But because different researchers have done it and they use different instruments, it tends to be a little bit muddied. With TRACOM group, they've done it continuously since 1955. They continuously revalidate statistically every year. And they do these tests with corporations, companies. Accenture is one of the biggest buyers. So imagine 500,000 people have gone through this instrument to be able to identify their social style. So Shaidra, does that answer the question? Boleh lah, if you want to do a hard match, boleh lah. So driving is choleric, analytical. Hang on. Sanguine, definitely expressive. I need to remember melancholic is... Yes, phlegmatic is amiable, so that means melancholic will be analytical. Yep. But it's not scientific lah, because there's no been papers that have been compared them apple to apple. Okay. And then we have a question there. Let's go up. Aisha says, is it possible for a person to have amiable and driving behaviors? Now I'm going to make a categorical statement here. Inside us, inside our brain, we have the capacity for all four. Yeah, we have the capacity for all four. That's why some people can say dekat office dia singa, dekat rumah dengan bini anak jadi anak kucing. So the answer is these behaviors exist as potential inside all of us. But which one have we practiced more? So when I did the test, I was placed just between amiable and expressive. So my dominant style is amiable. My secondary style is expressive. My tertiary style is analytical. My shadow is driving. Why is it called shadow? Because I've had very little practice with my driving behaviors. I don't push back to people. I don't stand my ground. I'm very flexible. I'm very negotiable. Orang kata, Nadzrin, sorry lah, kita punya meeting 9 o'clock ni, I tak boleh datang lah. Kita datang 9:30 boleh tak? Atau kita reschedule hari lain boleh tak? My first response is, oh kesian. Okay, tak apalah, no problem lah. Okay, another day boleh lah. But if that happens to me 2, 3, 4 times, memang nak kena makan lah. Memang nak kena. But a driving person, you do that one time with them, dia keluar balik. Hey, you want to waste my time? Okay. You want to waste your time? Is your time. You want to waste my time? Please, don't ever do this again. Okay. I will give you my availability for the next time we meet. But today, I cannot do. Alright. Dia marah tak? Dia bukan marah. Dia tegur. Itu cara dia tegur. But to an amiable, telinga amiable dia dengar, marah ni. Dia bukan marah. Itu kira baik lah tu. So, Aisha, the answer is, in each and every one of us, we should have one dominant, one secondary. Sometimes the secondary is very far. Sometimes it's very close. In the case of Tun Dr. Mahathir, when he was younger, his primary was driving, memang clear driving. His secondary was amiable, but a very far, his secondary was analytical, but very far analytical. But this time around, when he became Prime Minister, if you look carefully, his analytical dengan driving dia hampir-hampir sama. Okay, so that means his analytical side has taken a greater hold. But his dominant remains driving. Okay, so Aisha, does that answer the question? Do you have follow-up questions?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, so what about social style? Social style, like I said, kita boleh ada 4 cuma tinggal yang mana kita practice more. So when I got my test back and I go, alamak, driving ni masalah betul lah. Kalau I driving, that means I can focus on doing projects, doing work for long period of time. So from 2008 up until now, I've been practicing my driving side. And Alhamdulillah, I'm no longer scared of driving people. Bila kena tembak, I boleh tembak balik. Maki, I boleh maki balik. Tetapi dengan cara dia lah. Okay, so I can be very, very practical, very realistic. I boleh tegur orang. Once upon a time, I tak berani tegur orang. How? You practice the behavior. Now, does it change your personality? Internally, not so much. But you have the ability to show these behaviors. Okay, now what happens? There is recent research in brain genetics, and what they found is that all of us are born with one tendency already. So maybe I'm born with an amiable tendency pushes me in that direction, which means I'm very comfortable being amiable. But when I practice driving behavior, it becomes very tiring for me. Boleh buat, I can mimic driving behavior, tapi penat. At the end of the day, I letih. There are people who are born with driving genetic disposition in their brains. Okay, so when they want to adapt to amiable, dia menyampah. Betul lah aku nak buat amiable ni, tapi nak give them work to do, I must be nice lah. It gets very tiring for them because it's not their not their physiological self. So to answer your question, jawapan dia boleh, cuma tinggal are you controlling it or is it controlling you? That's the question. If you are cepat marah ni bukan sifat driving. Cepat marah dan cepat meletup kan, itu sebenarnya sifat amiable yang tak pandai tahan marah, tak pandai kontrol marah. I've had participants who come up to me and say, Cik Nadzrin, I don't agree with this test lah. This test says that I am amiable, tapi saya ni baran. And I go, okay, explain to me, what do you mean by baran? Saya bila saya tak puas hati, saya kena tahan marah. And I said to him, Tuan, if you kena tahan marah, itu bukan driving tu. Driving tak tahan marah, dia guna marah. They have the ability to use their anger. But amiables, their anger consumes them. So dia marah tu kan sampai macam tu sekali. Alright? So everybody gets angry. But driving people, they can use their anger. Amiables have the capacity to use sympathy. They can use sympathy to make people feel guilty. Now, tell me yes or no. Have you experienced or you seen this before? Amiables have the ability to master sadness or grief to make other people feel guilty. Driving people, dia pandai gunakan anger. Aku nak benda ni siap pukul 5. Marah ke tu? Tak. It's the energy of anger used to give an instruction. Okay. So I hope that gets the message across. And Aisyah says, contoh expressive people, Datuk Vida dan Alif Syukri, betul ke? Now, here's the thing. I have no direct interaction with these people, and orang boleh berlakon. So there is always a possibility that they are, not what they show on TV. So for example, I was watching this show before, macam CEO, where Alif Syukri was one of the judges. And I was surprised. So dia tiba-tiba he became quite serious talking to one of the contestants. It was a reality TV show about running a small business, and he became quite analytical tau. And I go, has this guy mastered his analytical behavior, or is that his true self? So unless we meet them face to face, we interact with them socially, we will not know for sure. Yeah. So does that answer the question, Aisyah? I can certainly, kita boleh kata, dia tunjukkan dia punya expressive side, but we cannot say for sure what is their natural self. Is that the answer you're looking for?
Not really. Macam I tak clear sangat the expressive one ni macam mana actually.
Okay, masa kat sekolah dulu, ada tak kawan-kawan yang lawyer buruk? Cikgu tanya lain dia jawab.
Banyak lah.
Okay, itu expressive lah tu. Kalau dalam meeting, orang tengah bincang, ekspresi dia, kejap. Ada benda aku nak cakap ni.
Dia
potong cakap orang.
Dia sukakan perhatian.
Oh, dia sayang perhatian. So everybody write this word down, ya. Driving, you wrote results. Amiable, you wrote Amiable, you wrote relationships. Analytical, you wrote accuracy. Expressive, please write this word down. Recognition. They are recognition oriented. Dia suka puji orang dan dia suka dapat pujian daripada orang. Now, do not misunderstand. Jangan terus kita chop dia jahat. Jangan terus kita chop orang driving ni jahat atau express jahat atau analytical atau amiable. Okay? There are reasons why they do that. Driving people, they give you results they also expect results from you. Analytical people, they give you accuracy sampai berjela-jela report. Ya Allah, kenapa panjang sangat report ni? I'm giving you everything you need. No, I don't need all of this. You must. So dia tetap akan insist that this is what you need to do to make your decision to do your work. Because why? What they like for themselves, they also give to other people. Amiable, dia suka relationship, and they also give relationship to other people. Does it make sense? People give what they like for themselves, which was big problem for me last time. Dulu all my friends kalau birthday kan, I akan bagi buku. Sebab kenapa? I suka buku. But not everyone likes books. Same for expressives. Why do they like to puji-puji orang? Wih, cantik itu doa ini kak. Biru. Merah ni kenapa ni? Why are they so in love with telling people how good they look? Because they want you to do that to them. And that's the sad part about expressives. People think that they are very happy people, but the fact is they like to make people happy with the hope, with the expectation that other people make them happy. Now, sad to say, we don't appreciate a lot of expressives. And this is not just Malaysia, this is globally. To such an extent that sometimes we don't see that as much as they are laughing on the outside, they are crying on the inside, and nobody knows, nobody cares. So I'm going to say a name, and I don't know if this name still resonates with young people anymore, but who remembers Robin Williams? Yes or no? Who remembers Robin Williams? Bukan Robbie Williams, yang tu Westlife. Robin Williams. If you are young enough to remember Mork and Mindy from the 70s, Good Morning Vietnam, Aladdin, Mrs. Doubtfire, that was all Robin Williams. Jumanji, the first Jumanji. Yeah, that's Robin Williams. What happened to Robin Williams? One night, he said to his wife, "Good night, my darling." And he went to the living room to hang himself on the ceiling fan. He was discovered by his wife the next morning, and everybody was shocked. Why? Because he looked so happy. No, he made other people happy. He himself was not made happy by other people. There's a very big distinction. So if you have children who are expressive, if you have a husband or you have a wife who is expressive, sometimes we might mislabel them as needy. We might accidentally mislabel them as needy. But the fact is, all they need is recognition. And that can be trained, that can be adjusted. Yeah, but if you withhold recognition from them, that's when they come after you some more. How you know? In a meeting, expressive will get support. La, betul tak? Betul tak? Betul tak? Kan? Selagi tak ada orang kata betul, selagi itulah dia berjalan. And the best part is, dia tak berani tanya driving. Betul tak? Apa pula? Dia tak berani tanya driving, tak berani tanya ethical. Biasa dia tanya siapa? Dia akan tanya amiable. Betul tak? Betul tak? Amiable yang biasa usually just wants to make other people happy, dia pun angguk. Ya, betul. So these are the 4 social styles. Okay? What questions do you have for me? All right. So let's see if there's anything else here that we can show you that will give you a bit of a clearer idea, okay, about the social styles. So these are some of their characteristics. And if we go through them one by one, we realize that the driving person's results orientation explains away all of their behavior. Dia punya behavior yang gana-gana, yang garang-garang apa semua, because they don't get results, because they don't get what they want, because they don't get what you promised them. So they become angry. But I know driving people by now, they don't have time to get angry. Dia tak ada masa nak marah. Kalau boleh dia tak nak marah langsung satu hari. Because why? It's a waste of time and effort. But why do they get angry? Because they believe our behavior will change as a result of that. Dia tembak dia kata, jangan buat lagi macam ni lah. Aku tak suka lah report macam ni. They use that kind of anger, they use kind of energy in the hopes that we will change our behavior. Now, we do that to our children as well. We scold our children in the hopes they will change their behavior. My question is, do you like it when your boss does it to you? If the answer is no, then you cannot do that to your children as well. we must learn a better way of doing things. If I appeal to the Muslims, okay, because we have something in common there. If I appeal to the Muslims, look at how the Prophet parented. Look at how he parented, how he interacted with people. He did not use anger, he used love. He educated with love. But did he get angry? Yes, he got angry. Tapi dia marah-marah tak? No. You can see he's angry. Yeah, he will tegur, but he will not scold. So these are some of the things that we can learn from that. So driving people, their results orientation is what causes them to speak that way, to behave that way. Okay, so before we move on to the next social style, you can put in your questions into the chat. Okay, amiable. Relationship oriented, which means that they will do anything to preserve the relationship. And I know some people might not agree with me, but being amiable myself and interacting with a lot of amiables, amiables sometimes don't want to take responsibility for their own actions because they think that when they own up to a mistake, then the relationship with that person, with their boss, will never be the same again. They rasa or broken relationship. But driving people don't care. They don't care about relationship. They nak benda tu siap saja. So the amiables will do their best to hold off. They will do things to hold off that pressure to make you not feel angry. To such an extent, they will deny, they will lie, and they will disappear. Worst case scenarios I've coached kan, dia made a mistake with their boss, dia sangat malu dengan bos dia, dia berhenti kerja. Dia berhenti kerja because dia malu dengan bos. Because they say, I cannot stand make mistake. It's a mistake. Fix it and move on lah. Tak boleh. So there are pros and cons to being an amiable. If you are a strong amiable, then you are someone who are relationship oriented and you can use that relationship to grow people. But if you are someone who's weak as an amiable, then what happens is your amiableness controls you, not the other way around. All right. So if you have questions, tell me in the chat. I'm going to move on to analytical. Okay, we have a question here. Shaida says, if amiable being a boss, he tends to bagi muka to the staffs, not strict. Well, a weak amiable will bagi muka. That's the problem. The weak amiable bagi muka and will actually pass off the decisions to the staff. Staff datang minta bos buat keputusan, dia kata, what do you think? What do you think should be the right decision? Dia pergi pass balik pada staff. So there's two ways of looking at this. If we look at it from the perspective of the amiable wanting to empower their staff, wanting to, give them the opportunity to get a bit more autonomy, okay, then it can work. But if the staff punya perception adalah, bos ni, kita tanya dia tanya kita balik pula. Macam mana nak selesai macam ni? So, they are looking for an answer, but the amiable is in too much of an amiable mode. The amiable must identify between two situations. You've heard the situation before. Give a man a fish for a day and he will eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish and he will eat for life. Okay? So, the problem here is that driving people focuses on, if the problem is now, let's fix it now. We give the man to eat today. If we teach them to eat, if we teach him to fish, and it takes him 10 days to learn to fish, by the 7th day he's dead sebab tak makan. So solve the problem first. Amiables tend to think, I want to give opportunity to my staff to develop. So I will ask them questions to see if they can figure out on their own. But the staff is already stressed out. Okay, so in this moment, Shaidra, what happens is they are being too amiable. But a strong amiable will go, okay, I understand. Let's make a decision now. And I want this decision to everyone to contribute to the decision. But I will make the veto decision. So tell me your opinion, tell me your opinion, tell me your opinion, tell me your opinion. Okay, I'll incorporate that. Okay, so I've listened to all of your input. Here's my decision. Bam. So if you're asking whether an amiable can be a good boss, my answer is I have seen a lot of good bosses from amiables. Yeah, Larry Page being one of them. I've seen a lot of companies where amiable bosses are much better loved than driving bosses. Driving bosses get results. Amiable bosses are loved, disayangi oleh staff. Yeah, they throw them farewell parties and stuff like that. So Shaidra, does that answer the question? Only a weak amiable does that, where their amiableness controls them. Marina says diplomatic. Yes, they are diplomatic and democratic. Yeah, they're diplomatic and democratic. All right, let's move on to analytical. So if we said that amiables, they do things because they're result oriented, you can predict what they're going to do because of what their primary drive is. Analyticals are accuracy oriented. That means everything they do, everything they say has to do with betul ke ni? So if you figure that out, then you will be able to communicate well with them. Okay. Again, type in questions anytime into the chat. All right. Now we go for expressive. Expressive, we have recognition orientation. And these people have a lot of ideas, like 1 million ideas per minute. Is ridiculous. So much so that it can stop work. So the idea is, if you're communicating with them, communicate through their recognition need. When they come up with an idea, you say, hey, that's a good idea. Now, how are you going to make that work? How are we going to, what should we plan from today in order to make it work? And then that means that you bring them back to reality. Betul lah. Oh, how can we make this work? Okay, so this is the last slide for the 4 social styles. Can I confirm that you understand what I've explained to you? If yes, give me a yes in the chat. If not, ask me your questions now. Okay, we got 1 yes only so far. We got 2 yeses. All right, cool. Well done. So, since you all said yes, let's give you a test. I'm going to show you photos, and I want you to give me your best guess. What style do you think they are? If you're ready, give me a ready in the chat. Okay, here we go. Picture number 1. I sort of gave away the clue already. Okay, tell me in the chat, what style do you think to Dr. Mahathir is? His primary style. Yep, his primary style actually is driving. He does have an analytical streak to him, and you can see that clearly now as he gets older. But his dominant style has always been driving. He has no qualms about calling out people. He doesn't care whether people see him. He's not there to be popular. So when people say this will tarnish your legacy, he says, who cares? What legacy you're talking about? Legacy, I do my work, and that's it. Okay, so that's not the Mahathir. Let's try one more. Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, what do you think he is? What style do you think he is? Okay, we got quite a lot of people saying amiable. Amiable sangat? Okay, clear. Okay, his style is very, very amiable. You can see that very clearly in his speeches. Ta-da! Okay, how about this one? This is Boris Johnson, the current Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. What do you think Boris Johnson is? Oh, has no one been able to see? Okay, ada some people. Expressive, expression, okay. Anybody else want to venture a try? Yep. Boris Johnson is actually expressive. And here's the interesting thing about expressives. Yeah, people say, oh, we find a lot of driving people in leadership positions. That's true. But have you noticed it's very rare to find expressives in government positions? Can anybody explain to me why? Tell me in the chat. Why do you think that it's very rare to find expressives in high government positions? What do you think?
I'm sorry, just a quick question. When you say
Yes.
high government position, do you mean the
Prime Minister, President, Minister.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, noted.
Okay. So Dr. Shiba says they change too often. Interesting. When you say change, are you talking about the person's personality changes? They change their decisions. What are you referring to? Ini kata they don't like lalang. They don't like being the government environment political too strict. Decision, or they change decision. Yep. Okay. So there has not been any clear research done on this, but in my discussion with other trainers, we believe that this is the case, right? You don't see expressives in government positions, high government positions, for two reasons. Number one, they don't like to be trapped by protocol. Number two, people don't let them get there. People don't actually let them get there. I want you to and this is not political. Let's do this, right? Tell me in the chat, in the last 4 years at least, 2 or maybe 2-3 years, we managed to have one expressive in government. But he became a minister because the Prime Minister appointed him to ministership. He was never in government before that, and if he was in government, he would not have even got to that position. Why? Because they would not have allowed him to get to that position. Who is this person? We have an expressive who joined government as a minister about a couple of years ago. He was never in government for that, but he was made minister. Normal consideration, he would have never reached that post on his own. Felinda, okay, 5 stars for you. That's definitely right. Mat Sabu was placed in Ministry of Defense, and according to our discussions, we sort of figured that Mahathir put him there, Tun Mahathir put him there because the generals can keep him in line. Okay, all the army people can keep him in line because he has to stick to protocol. He doesn't like protocol, but put into a ministry with high protocol. That was probably the safest place for him to be. Yeah, so we don't see expressives a lot in government because, like I said, normally they're not even allowed to get up. Now, what about Boris Johnson? What the heck happened there? Well, don't forget, nobody wanted to become Prime Minister in the UK. Right? So it was Theresa May, it was just a mess. Nobody wanted to become Prime Minister in UK, so Boris Johnson got the job, and people are not happy about that. So the only way for an expressive to get up is if nobody else wants the job or they get appointed to it. Okay, non-political, just as a discussion. Okay, how about the current president, Joseph Biden, current president of the United States? What do you think he is? Joseph Biden. What do you think he is? Okay, Felinda thinks amiable. Anyone else? Analytical, amiable. All right. So if you watch enough of his videos, you should see that, yes, he is amiable. Okay, well done. How about this one? Anybody young enough to remember former President Ronald Reagan in the 1980s? When I grew up, he was the President of the United States. What do you think Ronald Reagan is? Okay. Azrul thinks driving. He was a former actor in the 1950s, right, if I remember right. 50s and 60s. Or 50s. He was an actor. Okay. Only 2 people are answering right now. Everybody's like, I don't know who this is. Okay. Well, surprise, he is also amiable. Okay. Let's see if we can come closer to home. Pala, Tun Abdullah Badawi. What do you think he is? Is this also another example of amiable sangat? Yes, amiable sangat. How do we know? Well, if you remember when Pak Allah became Prime Minister, one of his first speeches became viral, even when in a time when we didn't use the word viral. He said in his speech, jangan bekerja kerana saya, bekerja samalah bersama-sama saya. that was, no, when he said that, people were like, cool, right? So you look at his leadership style, it mirrors his amiable style. Okay, let's try former President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama. What do you think he is? This is a bit of a difficult read. Definitely a bit of a difficult read. But what do you think he is? What style? Dr. Shiba says analytical. Okay, Shahidra says analytical. Anyone else want to try? Right, you guys are getting good at this. Well, if you watch enough of his videos, some people like to say he's expressive. Yeah, but if you watch his videos, those speeches that he gives, they tend to pause at specific moments. Why? Because he's searching for an accurate word to use. And this is hallmark of analyticals. Analyticals will speak slowly, will give a lot of pauses, very dramatic pauses, not because they have run out of things to say, but they want to choose the correct word so that they don't cause any trouble and nobody can use it against them. So Obama is one of the very few presidents of the United States where they cannot seem to find faults in his speech because he's very, very careful with what he says. If you want to find fault with Trump, you find a lot. All right. Okay. Let's see. Give you one more. Just one last one. What do you think about Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim? What do you think he is? Diving tu dia masuk dalam air. And he says expressive, so populist. Expressive. Okay. Yes. Datuk Sri Anwar is also a bit of a difficult read, but if you follow the social styles measurement, he actually speaks quite slow. So that puts him safely into the analytical category. Now, there's also a few other key ways you can identify. When Pakatan Harapan came to power first time a few years ago, what is the name of this? It's a talk show. It's not CNBC. It's based in Hong Kong or somewhere. It's a talk show based in Hong Kong, and they interviewed Tun Mahathir and they interviewed Datuk Sri Anwar. And the questions they asked were quite similar. It's not the same interview. They weren't in the same room, but they interviewed them separately. So I managed to saw both interviews on Facebook, and this is interesting. Yeah? When they interviewed Tun Dr. Mahathir, they asked this question. The question is, are you Malaysian first or are you Muslim first? Are you Malaysian first or are you Muslim first? And they asked the same question to Datuk Sri Anwar. They asked him, are you Malaysian first or are you Muslim first? Now, I want to give this activity to you very quickly. Tell me in the chat, how do you think Dr. Mahathir responded? How do you think he responded to the reporter's question? Are you Malaysian first or are you Muslim first? Chandra says Malaysian first. Okay. So you're banking on the idea that he's driving, therefore he will answer straight to the point. Eh? Okay. That's one. Dr. Mahathir will answer Malaysian first. Okay. Anybody else? Five, four, three, 2, 1. Okay. Let's go to Anwar Ibrahim. How do you think he answered? How do you think he answered the question? Are you Malaysian first or are you Muslim first? Both. Felinda. Shahida, do me a favor. Turn on your microphone. You seem to know something. What are you referring to?
I think he will, just go around the bush and then tell all the concepts, and then you interpret and conclude yourself. He will not answer the question directly. I think
Okay,
that is a safe.
have you watched a lot of his videos, or are you involved in any of his any of his works?
I don't know, maybe because Dr. Mahathir, his speech is very simple, meaning that orang kampung boleh faham, very
Okay.
direct. But Anwar Ibrahim so much of rhetoric, so like that. So all the concept, the vision, and all that, and then we don't know what is the clear that he wants. I think so.
Thank you. Okay, so I didn't want to share this, but I think I will for context. When I was at IIUM, I was at International Islamic University Malaysia. Back then, it was 1998, and he had just been thrown out of government, right? He had been thrown out of government, and it was popular back then for students to go and support him. So we went to his house, we listened to his speeches, we got tapes, and tapes got confiscated by wardens and stuff like that. It was an adventure lah. And at the time, I was also part of an institute he set up in Malaysia. It's an international institute. It's called the IIIT, International Islamic Institute of Thought, if I remember right, IIIT. When he got thrown out of government, the whole institute got shut down. It was amazing. My professors were like shredding papers. They were burning stuff, and I go, "Is this really necessary?" And they say, "Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. What the government's going to clamp down." So, yeah, I was an early Anwar supporter. But if you listen to his speeches, it's very nicely composed. But when you ask him a question, he cannot run away because he has to answer the question. So here's what Dr. Mahathir answered for that question. If I can find the video for you during lunch, I will find it for you. But it was on Facebook, so it's difficult to track. CNBC, I think that's the name of the channel, CNBC. I'm not sure now. So they asked him, "So Tun, are you Malaysian first or are you Muslim first?" Instead of answering the question, he asked the reporter balik, "Are you human first or reporter first?" And the reporter moved on to another question. Because why? As you can probably tell, it's a bit of a trap question meant to trigger. So if you say Malaysian first, what's the Malaysians going to say? What are the Muslims going to say? It's a bit of a trap question, and reporters love to trap politicians with these questions. I know, because I was a journalist for 7 years, and I know these tricks. So he also knows the tricks. So what he does is he will fight fire with fire. That's Dr. Mahathir. Anwar is exactly what Shahida was talking about. Are you Malay first? Are you Malaysian first? Or are you Muslim first? And Anwar takes a deep breath. He goes, "You must understand." And then he just launches into like a 7 or 8 minute explanation. At the end, there's no answer. So yes, you decide what your answer is. All right. So we're not talking good or bad. We're not talking about their characters. We're talking about their styles. And you can have good amiables, you can have bad amiables. You can have good driving people that you love, you look up to, and you can have bad driving people you hate. Okay, so this is social styles. It's not about akhlaq, it's not about character, it's not about good people or bad people. It's about looking at their behaviors and understanding what is their priority, so that if they are our subordinates, we now have two weapons. Number one is we understand their drive, whether it's mastery, autonomy, purpose, or stewardship. Okay, and now we also understand their social style. We know how to speak to them, what language to use in order to interact with them. So that being said, before I let you off for lunch, let's talk about language. I'm going to show you 4 examples of sentences, and I'm going to mimic the particular social style's speech pattern with their tone of voice and their volume and their speed. Okay, so I want you to guess who would like these sentences. Sentence number 1. I'll gather some data on the issue and provide you a full report. Who would like the sentence? Tell me in the chat. Okay, not bad. Dari pukul 11 sampai sekarang, an hour 15 minutes worth of learning, and you guys are on the ball. Okay, what is the keyword there? How do you know that they will respond to this? Data, you got that one right. There's another one I've hidden. Which one is it? They love, yes, they love to hear that word, full report. Provide full report. Right, Kun? Yes, gather information, gather data as well. Tapi full report tu is like magic. Ding! They got this good. All right, let's try a second one. Our plans are fully laid out. We're ready to go. Who likes this? Okay, menang lah. You got it right, exactly right. All right, how about the third one? Let's talk to your team and see if they would like to provide some input to this proposal. Okay, all correct answers. The last one, no prizes, because there's only one left. If we grab this opportunity now, I know we'll be ahead of everyone else. So you know what that one is. Okay, confirm, expressive. All right, well done, well done. So this is a wrap-up of everything I've shared with you from 11 o'clock in terms of the social styles. When you speak to a particular social style, you speak to their orientation. So you know that driving people are results-oriented and they love action plans. How do you know? Because the question we'll ask is, okay, you know what you're supposed to do that? Okay. You know what your KPI is? Yes. How are you going to do? Tell me. So they don't want to see the full plan, but they want to know that you have a plan. You figure out or not? Have you figured out how to do this or not? Yes. And they will leave it at that. But if you have an analytical boss, they will go, so are you ready to start your task? Yes. Do you know how to do this? Yes. Explain to me how you're going to do this. Sudah. You have to explain from A to Z, even the parts that you have not figured out yet. So analyticals, compared to driving people, they want full details. That's how they get confidence. Driving people, they want results. That's how they get confidence in you. That's how they believe that you are a good deliverer. Amiables, they are relationship oriented, and like I said, they're very status quo. They tak suka, they don't like change too much. An amiable can work in the same job for like 30 years without a raise, without promotion. Okay lah. But once their friends start leaving the company or start leaving the department, then they will consider, okay, maybe it's time for me to leave as well. So for them, relationships, they need other people to support them in order for them to do work. Even as simple as just duduk sebelah, that's it. But if they're doing work alone, their friends are on leave, every tak balik on holiday lagi, they find it difficult to work. All right. Last but not least is expressive. They're very recognition oriented, very vision oriented, in that they don't look to the past, they look to the future, which means that kadang-kadang they don't look at the present also, they don't do work in the present. All right. So that's all I have for you for social styles. Let's finish up with questions. What questions do you have for me? What other things would you still like to know? Please ask me now. If you have no questions, give me an N in the chat. Okay, we got one N, we got two N's, we got three N's, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I don't see questions. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you your lunch break from now until 2 p.m. Is that okay with you? Yes or no? That should give you time to catch up on some work as well. So you've actually managed to get slightly behind, well, not behind, ahead of time. So we'll see you at 2 o'clock. We will continue with two other topics, which is leadership styles and coaching. Have a good break, everyone. We will see you at 2 o'clock. I'm going to end this meeting, right? Because I don't want to record over lunch. So please come back before at 1:45. I'll open up the meeting again. Please come back then, and then we will continue. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.